All right, we're in.
We're in.
Welcome to the podcast, man.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't believe we just talked about Magic cards. Out of all things that we could have possibly covered this morning.
Yeah, you would think a guy that's a chef and he's all going to natter on about food and famous people and stuff like that, and just a card geek like the rest of us.
I attribute a lot of my ability to think, and I went to school for computer programming and computer programming and things like that to that game.
Okay.
Because it's all about building and how things are going to work out and how things are going to play out. Like, that is a I have a newfound appreciation for nerds.
Well, nerds get a lot of stuff done. Look at Bill Gates.
Yes.
Okay,
So I definitely have a new appreciation for that, but it was just, it's like, I don't know what, I've never really played Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that, but it's just like, are you an all card guy? You love all cards?
No, I started with Dungeons and Dragons,
okay.
yeah.
And I couldn't get into it just because people were like, it'd be like every night of the week, it'd be one night of the week they'd all get together and play Dungeons and Dragons and things, and I'm like, that's a little extreme.
It's a commitment. I mean, you got to get a good group, and everyone's got to be ready. Everyone's got to. It's almost like getting ready for a class. But we had fun. We had a group of about 6 to 8 of us in college.
Sure.
And I still remember some of the sessions we had, and the guy threw in the guy writing the adventure threw a nice little twist in. It's still very memorable. I still can remember that. So,
oh man.
So when you talk about gaming is actually a form of communication.
Yes.
And it teaches you how a person thinks.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting because, as you know, sometimes we think one-dimensionally or we think in ways we've learned. So I like gaming because different people, you will see different ways they think. Sometimes you feel like you're outsmarting them, and other times you're being outsmarted. And not everyone knows what it feels like to be outsmarted in real time. They'll get after the fact, oh, I lost the sale, or hey, that date didn't go down. But when you're there and then you start learning how to interact by getting better at your game, whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's a decision-making process.
I tell everybody, especially this, because this is definitely one of the most raw forms of communication is when I do a podcast with somebody, I explain to them because explain the show to me, and I'm like, the show is, we cover every topic, but I go, it's a very advanced game of tennis. Or ping pong.
Right.
I hit the ball to you,
right.
And if you do not catch it and hit it back, you have to be quick enough to go get a ball and hit it back, and it has to be something that we can volley back and forth. Because in this show, we're not playing to win.
Right.
We're playing to see how long we can get the volley to go.
Correct. Yeah, you're looking to build a board state, especially in Magic. You're looking to build the board state. Tom Ross top-aided and won some champions a number of times. And he's more of a poker player as a real thing, and he does this as a side thing, but he described Magic as a combination of chess and poker.
Oh, that's exactly what it is.
And which is actually really quite good. And so once you understand what you're doing, because I was a Timmy, like get a big creature on the board and bash, but then they don't ever get a chance to attack or they die.
Yeah.
And then you're like, very sad.
And then look, there's strategies, there's tactics, there's burns, and all there's a million things in that game. And for anyone that's listening, that's like, what in the fuck is Magic? Magic is a playing card game. It's been around since the
early 90s.
I was gonna say
Started
90s.
in the early 90s. Yeah,
early 90s, and it's because most people know Pokemon. If anyone had Pokemon cards, it's like the
adult version, more serious. I mean, it still attracts a younger crowd, but it has a pro tour attached to it with decent prize packets. A player can walk home with 50,000 if they hit first place. I mean, that's not small things.
You can make a living doing it. It's fun. It definitely fully engages the brain.
Right, and it also creates a subset of game nerds who are just live for the next tournament, so they can attach a lot of their emotional being to it. So they just got to realize it's a game, but it's a good thinking and learning tool.
Video games, games. I play video games, and I play with I have friends and stuff like that play like they're in the world tournament, and I'm like, guy, Relax.
It's electronics.
We're just here to have fun.
Exactly. See, for me, Magic was a connection for my boys. My boys are in their 30s now. And my one older boy, Josh, my firstborn, he and I still play. So we still throw down Commander. But we used to go into the city, into Neutral Ground for the pre-releases, and we had good memories of that. So it's a real touchstone for us. And it's a good way for parents to connect, not only with sons, but also with daughters. I mean, it's good because then you start to see how your child is thinking. Sure. And then it provides a teaching moment. So, and it's just kind of fun and cool. And
it is fun.
The collectability.
It's fun. It's cool. And you know what the beautiful part is? It's not sitting in front of this.
Yeah.
The almighty phone.
Yeah. My favorite meme that was out on Facebook was the iPhone as the face hugger from Alien. And the more I walk around and I try to limit my time in front of the screen, but unfortunately it is addictive.
It is addictive.
It is addictive, and as a society, we better get a grip on that.
It's addictive. It's I would say it's even harder for business professionals to not be on it because if you're in sales or you are somebody that doesn't have to be in the office, you still have to answer your phone. You know, and you're expected to answer your phone, right? It's like I checked my phone before and and I saw it and I was like, I feel like a jerk looking at my phone, but on the flip side of things, I don't want to miss an email that is timely or anything like that. Or it's like it's that like weird trade-off. And now that we're in the show, it's like okay, technology's off.
Right,
that's it.
But the point is your fear of missing out.
Oh, FOMO.
Is not there because you're engaged.
Yes.
So when your mind is just random and just kind of hanging out, waiting for the next big thing, you're like, it's an easy fix.
Sure.
And I think that's the discipline there, because one of the things I appreciated as I grew to become, where I am now, followed a guy online, Eben Pagan. Not sure if he's still out there. One of those guys that always tries to sell you things. But he had some free content out there, and one of the things he had was, I have notes on it. I can bring it to the next meeting. But he talked about, how to create a morning routine.
Sure.
And he taught me that basically when you're doing thought work, like organizing a project or getting ready for your day, even though I'm a chef and I'm physical, but there's still the thought work of, communicating with people, getting menus done. He taught me to work in 90-minute blocks of time, which to this day I still follow. Mm-hmm. It is always interesting to me, people who sit at a desk for 8 hours a day, they basically just cram 30 minutes into 8 hours is what they do.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time is just trying to look busy. And God knows how many people are, Facebook surfing or social media surfing when they think they're working. And me, I can get the bulk of my work done in less than 2 hours in the morning, and I'm done. It's kind of, Tim Ferriss's, 4-hour work week concept to a degree.
Sure.
A lot of most jobs that you sit at a desk is mostly busy work to some degree.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I have a part-time right now, and I'm like, look, just get your work done. He's like, what? I'm like, he's like, you don't want to know how many hours I work? I go, if you work an exorbitant amount of hours, by all means, let me know. That was the weirdest thing ever.
That was, but it happens. It's live radio.
It is. Look, whatever, they heard it. And then, and he's coming on full-time in February, and it's just, I'm like, yeah, like, as long as you get your work done, I could care less.
Yeah.
I was like, if you get it done in 30 hours, great, enjoy the extra 10 hours. If you can get it done in 20 hours, great, enjoy the extra 20 hours. I was like, look, if you're getting work done on consistently in 20 hours, I'm obviously not giving you enough work. So we might have
what you're paying him for.
Yeah.
You're paying him for 40 hours. If that's how you're going to roll it.
I'm like, look, I know that nobody's going to work for 40 hours straight. I go, look, I'd be more than happy if I got 30 productive hours out of you.
That'd be a lot.
If I got 30 productive hours, and he's like, really? And I was like, yeah. I was like, and look, I'm not looking to have you kill yourself. That's not the world that I live in. I don't, I sit in front of a computer. I have 4 screens. That's what I do. I don't kill myself. I'm just sitting there clicking away and typing.
Okay.
Thankfully I don't have to do backbreaking labor or anything like that.
So when does the Tony Stark table come up?
I can't tell you how many times
could you not
a day.
Love that?
I curse a lot, by the way. You're welcome to curse.
That's all right. That's good. I have my moments.
I can't tell you how many times a day I would love to have an Iron Man suit.
Dude.
And not even like the explosions or like the guns. Just I would like sitting in traffic would be so obsolete if I could just push a little button
and fly.
And fly to my location.
Yeah. They nailed it. The first Iron Man movie, when they did the reveal and put him in the suit, I'm like, man, thank you. I mean, just.
Yep.
And it's funny because the Fantastic Four never translates to the big screen.
No.
I mean, you read the Kirby and Stan Lee comics of the Fantastic Four back in the heyday of the 60s. Oh, my God. The best. They tried couple times. Fantastic Four does not make it. Iron Man, Captain America, Doctor Strange, nailed it.
Nailed it. Well, I think Fantastic Four also came in at not the most optimal time to the movies.
Well, we do remember that the guy who played Captain America was the Human Torch, correct?
Yes.
Not everyone, you know.
Yes, I do know that.
So,
but like
from one
special
nerd to
effects
another.
to capture everything and to do everything that they needed to do, like it was great for that time. And I remember when the Silver Surfer came out.
Oh,
I remember it being
it was reasonable.
the greatest picture that has ever been produced,
Yeah.
which is fine. But like, I just don't think that the special effects were at the point that they needed to be for it to be a really good movie.
Well, I'm pretty sure Thanos was all CGI, but goddamn, was he a believable character?
Oh yeah, I mean, look, they made Godzilla movies in the '60s and '70s, and how they did it and all that kind of stuff is beyond me. But like, you could get away. I feel like you could get away with a lot of that. You couldn't get away with like the Fantastic Four. Now with CGI, it's like you watch the Avengers and you're like, that looks pretty goddamn realistic.
Well, they got the story right too. They got the story, they got the characters right, they got the interplay, they got the humor, they got the fight scenes right, they got the catchphrases right.
Everything.
Everything.
It was on
just
point.
Absolutely. Everything.
I was watching a YouTube video the other day. It was incredible, and it was actually about Disney animation and how Disney animation. So you watch the original Toy Story and you see the dog, and the dog doesn't have hair. It's just like little striations on the skin that kind of try to represent hair.
Right.
But like it was in VHS, the quality wasn't that good, and it was good, and the TV, you didn't have 4K TV. But now if you watch it, you're like, it's still, the quality's still pretty good.
Right.
But like every major movie that Disney comes out with, they try to conquer one new thing.
Right.
And they figured out hair and fur in Monsters Inc.
Yes, they did. That was the big talking point. How Sully's hair just was a live thing.
Yeah.
Still a great movie. I'm sorry.
Oh, I agree.
Monsters Inc. Anything after that, they just.
I agree. But now it's like the new Toy Story movie, and I haven't seen the new Toy Story movie, but the cloth actually you could see, like if because it's in 4K you could zoom in so much,
right?
You could see like the fraying of the cloth around the the edges of I forget
Woody.
Woody and the
Bo Peep.
her blouse and things like that, and it's like, oh my god, and like they actually talk about how they needed to create Monsters Inc. to have the ability to create better textures, and like now the dog actually has hair in the movie, and like somebody did a side by side, and they're like, look at how it changed.
Right.
And that's all Disney does is they just try to master one thing per movie, and that when they master hair, great. Every bit of hair going forward is going to be phenomenal.
Right.
And they master this, and
the
new one is her porcelain skin, and Woody's plastic, and all. Now they're trying to figure out textures on real surfaces that you can touch.
Everything is a layer and builds on it, which is interesting. It's good. I mean, but the changes that come to us from society. I mean, I grew up, in the 60s.
Sure.
I lived with the big black telephone in the kitchen, and for channels 2 through 13, and now we have just so much information. And depending on your point of view, it's good, it's bad. On some days it's good, on other days it's bad. Choice is good. Information overload. Everyone has their take on it. So I don't want to natter on one way or the other, but it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot as a species.
It's a lot
to take in, and
you can pick and choose what you want.
Right. I mean, you can engage or disengage freely, and that again, everything has implications.
Yeah. And because there's so much, you can just gravitate towards only what you want.
Right. There's only so many hours in a day.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be politics. It could be, hey, if you're, look, I love cooking. I was watching how to make a porchetta last night.
Yeah.
And that was what I watched right before I went to bed, right? Like, I love watching cooking stuff. And it's funny, the guy, John, who's been on the show before, he's like, he doesn't understand how I could come in, I could eat lunch in front of my desk and watch a cooking show. But I'm like, that's what I like to do. Like, I like to learn how to cook. I like to, master and see what other people do and this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
He's like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's so funny that's what he says. But, like, that's, I love it. I would have loved to be a chef back in the day.
It's an accessible skill, and that's the thing. People that weren't chefs. Jeremiah Tower back in the 80s was actually an architect before he became a chef, and he was a very famous chef out in California.
Sure.
At the start of what was the food trend that we now all enjoy as mainstream.
Oh my God.
But yeah,
Thank
people
God.
were a lot of different things,
Thank God.
before that. And it's interesting that people say, when you say, "Hey, you're a chef," I'm like, "Yeah," and they just freak out when I tell them I used to manage at McDonald's. They're aghast. It's like, what?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, yeah. I'm like, no. I mean, like, there's more than one life. And on the converse side, when I was interning at another restaurant, I had a great guy that I worked with, Chris, Spanish guy, and he taught me a lot about. We did the salad station together.
Sure.
Guy was great. I mean, gets a lot of done. He got worked on 3 tasks at one time. And I came in one time after working with him, and I said to the chef, I said, "Hey, where's Chris?" He's like, "Oh, he left." I'm like, "Where'd he go?" "Well, he's fixing cars now. He went to be a mechanic." I'm like, "Oh," and you're like,
That's
"Who
it.
died?" Like, yeah, and
That's
and there seems to be, we'll call this an urban thought. They always think, or there seems to be a strain of people that always think that if you now, you could never be anything else. Like, you were always going to be a chef
I don't
from
know
like
why
day
people think
one.
that.
But you've seen that thread, right?
All
And
the
it's
time.
right, and like they're like,
And you switch careers, and people like,
what?
"What did you do?"
You can't be a real chef. I'm like, okay, I hate to tell you. I mean, I'm sure there are musicians that, fixed cars or worked on boats before they picked up a guitar and figured out they had something.
I'm sure.
It's just crazy. Actually, my mind is going towards the Lady Gaga version of A Star Is Born. Did you
Sure.
see that?
Yep.
I mean
Great
that
movie.
yeah, great movie. I mean, what I loved most about it, outside of the overacting towards the end with the relationship, but how it tracked her being a waitress
Sure.
with a good voice that her
fame.
friends knew.
Yeah.
And then that whole scene where she came out, the first time he invited her backstage and then brought her out, I was like, I was in tears. Because that's how it happens. You just never know.
Yeah, you really, you never know.
And
You never know. You never know who's listening. Like, this is a great example.
Right, exactly. So, so I run into that all the time. And Andrew Dice Clay as her father was just the icing on the cake. I was like, awesome.
I was sitting in the movie because I saw my girlfriend. I was sitting in the movie and I go, "That's Andrew Dice Clay." She's like, "Who on earth is that?" And I go, "Oh, God almighty."
You felt old immediately, didn't you?
I did. Like, he's a little bit before my time too, but I try to be really. I try to be like really. I don't know. Worldly is the right thing, but like cultured or like experienced.
Well informed.
Yeah, and
let's call it that.
It was just, she's like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
Whatever, it's fine. It's,
that's how you know you're getting old.
Yeah.
When you throw a reference out there and they don't get it.
You know what? It wasn't bad. It was just, I was like,
You're like, am I really at that age? Is this really a thing now? I know things she doesn't.
Well, it happens more often than not because of this.
Right.
I read books. I listen to podcasts. I play video games. I really don't do anything, in my opinion, that's like antisocial. I'm very much a social butterfly.
Okay.
Even when I'm sitting in front of my computer, I'll be in an app called Discord, and I'll sit there all day, and my video game friends will pop in. Like, I won't even play video games. I'll just be working, and they'll come and hang out with me. That's what they do.
That's interesting.
So, yeah, it's cool. They'll be like, "Oh, what are you working on?" And it's great, too, because it gives me real-time feedback on a lot of different things. So, if, I'm working on a website, hey, how does this look? Does this look all right? Does this not look all right?
Right. But you're always interacting.
Always.
But it's the digital mechanism of our society that allows it to happen.
It's very rare that I sit in complete silence and just, I'll meditate, I'll read a book, but that's...
But once you're engaged with your day, it's communication.
That's it.
Right, and that's a lot how it is, because I'm finding with younger people, and the girl I'm seeing, so she's younger, so she lives her life through the phone. She's very good at it, but that's where I get the real conversation, or things she really wants to talk about, and we hang out together and spend time and do stuff together, and it's great. But learning how she does and watching her work the phone is incredible. I mean, it's the joke, old people need a sign that says "Turn computer on."
Oh,
that kind of thing. But I'm reasonable with technology, but anyhow. But this is what. But with this generation, everything is funneled through that.
Oh yeah.
It's both good and it's bad, because the implications being on the negative side, if that was removed, how are they going to figure it out? communication is a skill. And, if you look back at all the writings and the history and the writings of Shakespeare and the Bible and all that, that survived 2,000 years and some, damn hard times. I mean, the Dark Ages, the Black Plague,
Sure.
still made it through, and if you look at the history of that, and we have these works, and that was the communication then. So now this is all digital, and it's here and gone.
Yep.
The Snapchat pictures thing, this is never going to be dug up, on an archaeological dig 2,000 years from now.
No.
And they're going to find out. And, I mean, can you imagine the amount of volume? I mean, they figured out cuneiform.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was a language? I mean,
Yeah.
really? I mean, dinosaurs putting their feet, in clay?
You know what? I think at this point now, the likelihood, look, God forbid we do go extinct, right? It would have to be millions of years down the road for everything that we've built, done, and all that kind of stuff to be gone.
Right.
Because now we have satellites, we have the Mars rover, we have we have a flag on the moon,
Yeah.
It's only going to continue, and now with Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos,
these guys are
space.
Still pushing it, if this Space Force thing ever really,
Yep.
we're not getting reported on it, so maybe they're making progress that we don't know about. So, and that's, again, so as connected as we are, we're less informed than we've ever been.
To some degree.
To some degree.
I think you have a choice of being
Right, but you have to
how
dig.
informed.
You have to dig to find good information. But I'm just saying, in general, from the viewpoint I guess I'm proposing is when I was a kid, you had Channel 2, Channel 4, and Channel 7, and you had to choose which broadcast you liked for whatever reason.
Absolutely.
And most of the time, if you went between the three channels, they were pretty much hitting the same things, and you were getting that. So now, information is controlled by 6 major corporations, as we talked about. So, unfortunately, they're sanitizing it. And they're running it through a filter and a filter again. So, like I said, can you find the information? Yes.
You have to go look for it.
But that's a smaller percentage. And that's, that's
and
by
because
design.
they're sanitizing it, and good, bad, or indifferent.
And limiting, unfortunately.
You have to go through multiple sources, right? You can't just trust Fox. You can't just trust CNN. No. You can't just trust.
But even the websites and like writers or people you follow, or quote unquote that terrible phrase thought leader on social media, which is I guess like being rich in Monopoly. I mean, but it has its sway. It has its.
Has the ability to push people.
Correct.
And I think the other thing too is a lot of people, especially now. People are getting concerned about things that they have little to no control over also.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. That's my son brings that up to me all the time.
Yeah, there's as little information as we have. If you really want to go out there and get it, you can go get all of the information. The thing is, it's like, how practical is it, right? Great example. I went online, I searched how to make a porchetta last night because I'm thinking about making one for Christmas.
It's pretty easy to do. A little bit of work,
but
not horrible. The hardest part is rolling it up and tying it.
That's it. So there's literally hundreds of videos on porchettas, like how to make a porchetta, right?
And a million different variations.
That's exactly right. So it's like, is there a right one? Is there a wrong one? Is it your variation? Well, how do you get the crispy skin? How do you get the juicy sense? Like it's all that. It doesn't have to be, hey, what's going on in the local news or whatever it is. It's like, just that alone, there's excuse me. There's 100. Thank you. There's like 100 ways to make the porchetta. It's like, are you gonna watch 3 hours of how to make porchettas and be a porchetta master? And for anyone that doesn't know what a porchetta is, it's because they probably think I'm fucking out of my mind right now.
Yeah.
A porchetta is pork belly, potentially with the pork loin, right? Loin.
It's usually, I believe, it's a big side of bacon.
It's usually a big side of bacon, but I've seen it with the loin on it.
You do it with the loin, yeah.
And then they butterfly it all the way out. They rub a bunch of spices on it, roll the whole thing up.
Usually stuff it. They can stuff it with anything from provolone and prosciutto and sautéed spinach and mushroom. I mean, you can go all the way up high into, shaved truffle in the inside.
Yep.
But
and you roll it up, you tie it, you could roast it, whatever you want to do, and then you
brown it in a pan first.
That's exactly right.
Slow roast it.
And then you crisp up the skin however you choose, and that's a porchetta.
Yeah.
But I want to make one. I'm thinking about making one for Christmas.
It's great. Slice it up, serve it with some polenta, with some mascarpone and butter stirred into it.
Yeah.
And make a good gravy. Take the gravy drippings.
I'm making. Oh, I got a jamon. It's a Spanish ham.
Jamon? Oh, jambon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, jamon.
Jambon.
And oh my god, I'm so excited! I got it from Costco for $100. I'm like,
That's not bad.
I've never had it before, and I'm very
it's
excited.
jambon is basically like a prosciutto, like the leg that you see.
Yep.
Actually, it was to actually talk about chef work. I had one client that I cooked for over in right over in Hampton Bay, West Hampton.
Sure.
West Hampton, and the house was actually at one time was Marvin Hamlish's house, the Broadway guy, but I guess he divested himself of it. So anyhow, it was a really cool guy from Spain. Kind of looked like Antonio Banderas with his hair tied back. Had the bluest eyes.
Sure.
Bluest, and just a very warm guy. So I'm talking to him. He got his wife, and they're there with some kids, and they're just kind of bringing the kids up, as part of like a junior high and like a birthday treat for the daughter. And I come to find out that he's like this big, celebrity chef, and his big thing is with like a small sword at the table. He slices the jambon is in the thing holding onto it. And then he slices it, and then right at the table side, he curls it into little flowers and garnishes it. And,
oh my god!
And
that's what he does.
Yeah, and so his wife is like, "Oh yeah, let me show you his video." And he's like got the long Neo coat on from the Matrix, with his hair pulled back, and he's got the sword with the red ribbons, and he's like doing this. I'm like, "Holy crap!" And coolest guy ever. They were just lovely people to work for. So you just.
You never know.
No. It's just like so creative.
It's so funny. Like, I have a conversation with a lot of people, especially like younger people who either want to start their own business or something like that. And people are like, oh, I could never be as rich as like Jeff Bezos or any of these like super rich people. They're like, I'm like, what do you think they are? What do you think they're gods?
Right.
Like,
they're just people.
Yeah, they're just people. Like, they just have this.
Didn't stop.
Yeah, they
no
have
matter what.
This idea that like they don't exist on like the normal earth that everybody else lives on. So it's like I'm like they still go to Starbucks, they still go to Dunkin' Donuts.
They still use the bathroom the same way you do.
Yep.
They still shower,
I'm
put
like,
their
look,
pants on one leg at a time.
Yep, I've worked for multimillionaires and I did some catering and stuff like that, and I did waiting tables and all that kind of stuff. And I go,
so you have a food background.
I do I have a pretty vast food background.
Nice.
And I'm like, I just even last year, it was more of a favor than anything. So I had a friend of mine who was like, hey, I know that you have experience in the industry. I really need somebody to work tonight. They're like, it's not a lot of money, but I'm desperate for somebody. Can you help me out? I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll help you out. I have nothing going on.
You got black pants and a white shirt hanging out.
That's it. And so I went out there. They were like mega wealthy, beautiful home.
Yeah, it's
like,
crazy. What town do you remember?
Secoponic.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And
the houses are next level.
14-foot glass walls that you could see out in the backyard, and the way they position the trees is so you could see the sunset in between the two trees over a corner. It was goddamn beautiful.
Yep.
And it was funny, right? Like, they listen to the exact same music that we listen to. Yeah. They're eating they didn't eat it. They had their own personal chef there, but it's like he's making, Chilean sea bass. You could go get that.
How hard is that?
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yeah, it's it's not a hard dish to cook.
It's not brain surgery.
Yeah, he didn't make anything that was like, whoa, you're like a Michelin star.
Yeah,
that's like the hardest thing I've ever seen anybody make.
Right.
But people have this idea that these people don't exist on Earth.
Right, exactly. And I know exactly what you're saying, because the people I've met who've done well, they usually appreciate it quietly.
Sure.
But once you get that much money in your checkbook, it's kind of hard not to think you're like a master of the universe. But they understand. But most of the time, they just got a lucky break. Like there's a guy over here runs a limo company. He lives in East Islip.
Sure.
And I met him networking, and he hired me early on, and I went to meet, and they were in a mansion right down in East Islip, and he's like, him and his wife, I was getting to know them, and he 9 o'clock at night for the interview, and he's still dressed in a suit, gorgeous wife, and they were like, yeah, no, we just had one limo, and then one day American Express sent us over a proposal the sign of a phone book, and before you knew it, they were up to like 60 limos, 4 people working the phones 24 hours a day, booking and sending out drivers, and that was the turning point.
Yep.
and
it's
just all of a sudden
it
it
clicks
breaks,
in.
right?
Yep, it does break.
I've kind of experienced that in a small way for me, just doing this, as a chef. Like I said, I was restaurant manager at
So
McDonald's.
tell people what you do, by the way.
Okay, so I'm a personal chef. Chef Lance, Long Island is my Instagram. You can Google me up locally. I do.
Love it.
Yeah, so dinner parties in people's homes, basically good food.
Sure.
Because normally, and it was kind of built out of the thing I grew up around, family and stuff, but their idea of entertaining was bake ziti and stuff in the middle of summer. I mean, like,
sure.
Okay, that doesn't make sense. Anyhow, so I fell in love with food and, followed my passion.
Feta, watermelon salad.
No, thanks. Yeah, So, but I got lucky because, my career, and it was funny because it's a mindset.
Yeah.
I was dreaming about it. I remember I was talking to the people I worked with. I had a good crew and a brother and sister team that I opened with, and I'd come in and I'd show them my notes, or I made a little trifold brochure, like, I'm going to be this chef. And they're like, okay, yeah, Lance, you can do it. And then the day came, a new owner came in, and I got kicked out. And so here I am at 45, and no one's going to hand a 45-year-old with a 20-year McDonald's resume, a $100,000 project management job. They're just not.
Yeah.
And so into the deep end I went.
Sure.
And I'm proud to say that in my first month in December 2009, when the economy was tanking, in the local area here up in Port Jeff, Setauket area, I did $3,500 just on local networking.
Sure.
In dinner parties
Sure.
at a time when the economy was tanking. And that was 3 times what I was making with McDonald's.
Yeah.
And it literally was just how you choose to see yourself. And I just didn't give up, and I'm sure I looked like a fool sometimes in people's kitchens. I mean, I never missed, like if I said dinner was going to be ready at 7, it was always ready at 7. So I knew to be ready.
Yeah.
So the McDonald's training mattered.
Sure.
Because, again, you still have to nail, Jeff Bezos still has to nail the details.
Absolutely.
And we just see, him sitting on top of a huge empire. So, yeah, I mean, I went from working 6 days a week at McDonald's, trying to make ends meet, taking home $2,400. And now I'm working 10, 12 days out of 30, taking home $5,000 a month.
Sure.
And it's like, so what was the difference? I'm still me.
Yeah.
I didn't go to some culinary school.
Yep.
It was just, it's being willing to put yourself out there.
Sure.
And be on the edge that you could fail, that you could screw up, that a client could be mad at you. But you just have to know
inevitable.
that you can deliver. But I'm saying, you have to know you can deliver.
Yep.
So, for anyone out there on the podcast that's listening, if you have a business idea and you're kind of skittish, just define what it is you can do. Because right now, the best thing about our society is, as long as you go out there with something to offer that you can deliver on, you're going to find people who are going to say, yeah, I can write you a check for that.
Yeah.
And as long as you deliver it, that's it.
Can't say no.
And you can be cool. You can show up in jeans and a hoodie.
Yep.
And they're cool with that. You don't have to you can put on a tie.
I think now more than ever.
Now more than ever.
You don't need, my buddy Jonathan, I love him to death. And he's been on before too.
Okay.
He's a huge proponent, especially in the business world, like of a suit and tie. And I'm like, dude, those days are dead and gone.
There's a small strata where it matters.
Yep.
And it's still a good thing. The phrase I like is dressing well is a form of good manners.
I do agree.
But for the purpose of getting your work done, yeah, you can show up clean. They got to be clean.
Oh, you can't look like a slob.
Yeah, you can have like a shirt with, like you have a shirt with a saying on it. People like that. It's a conversation point.
Yep.
And it's how we connect now. So, but the big change is literally just how you see yourself.
Yeah. It's how you see yourself. It's how you present yourself, right? I tell people all the time. I go, you don't. I was interviewing a while back, and like I had one kid, and he came in and like I knew like his dad's button down, and like he had a raggedy pair of jeans,
right?
And like, look, I'm hiring people for their brains. I could care less what you look like, but I'm like, guy, I'd almost rather see you in a nice polo if you have one laying around,
right,
than a button down, and a clean, nice pair of jeans.
Well, it's also the look and the vibe your business exudes.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't need you to have. I don't care if you wear a button down.
Right.
I think I have like 5 button downs at home for like the 5 occasions that I go through every year. So that way I just alter the shirt that I wear that year, so that way it doesn't look like I'm wearing the exact same shirt.
Good idea.
And it's like I tell people all the time. I go, if you're gonna invite me out, just if I need to wear a suit, you have to tell me that I have to wear a suit. Otherwise
yeah.
I'm gonna wear my
you get what you
Barra
get.
Media Group polo, and I'm gonna wear my.
By the way, they look sharp.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna wear my dark jeans, and I'm gonna wear my dress shoes, and that's all I wear.
Exactly.
You know,
I hear you.
And people are like, I don't understand how you can get away with that. I go, Zuckerberg wears a T-shirt, Vaynerchuk wears a T-shirt. Why do I need to wear a suit?
It's all about your style.
Yeah.
It's
and
like,
you pay for my brain.
Yeah.
You don't pay for
Exactly.
and especially I'm not in finance.
Yep.
There's
finance is definitely a whole nother animal. My son is in finance. He doesn't like to let me look behind the curtain, but I respect him. He dresses well.
Sure. If
He
you're a
knows
doctor, I give you a pass.
Yeah.
Dress like that if you're a doctor.
Yeah, well, just Dockers and a nice collared long sleeve shirt.
Yep.
You don't have to wear a tie anymore.
I think ties are dead and gone.
They're more of a fashion statement and a style choice now, as opposed to a de rigueur of what is expected on a daily basis. Absolutely.
It makes no sense to me.
It's interesting
For a lot of it.
Yeah, because the whole chef thing was back when I got started. To dress the part was the kooky loose pants with either the chili peppers on them and those god awful Crocs, which I never wore, thank God. Which is it's not a look.
You know what? I used to make fun of everybody, and then I worked at on the border up in Holtzville.
Yeah,
and I was a waiter there.
Yeah,
and somebody was like, "Dude, you gotta get Crocs." I was like, "No fucking way." And I was like, "You know what?" And I ended up going out to I think we were at the Riverhead Outlet or whatever it was, and there was Crocs there, and I was like. They had restaurant Crocs that had like this special no slip bottoms and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
and I go, you know what? Let me just try them on.
And
they were so fucking comfortable.
I got.
They look so silly.
But
they're so comfortable.
I can't look that silly.
Here's the other beautiful part about them. I actually used to put them in the dishwasher. So at the end of the night, when they were getting right before they would clean the dishwasher,
you'd run them through.
I'd run them through.
Interesting.
And it would reheat the foam inside.
So they were nice and warm for the ride home.
Not even that they were nice; they were too warm for the ride home.
Right.
But it like beating down and putting 5-10 miles on them every single day.
Right, puffed them back up.
Yeah, it would puff them back up.
Interesting.
And it would be like brand new again. I'm like, you know what?
Well, everybody. Listen, life is all about utility.
And because they're all whatever that foamish thing.
Yeah.
If there was water on the ground or anything like that, my feet never got it. Brilliant design.
I just never put them on.
But not for everybody. Look, I get
not
it.
for everybody. No. Yeah, it was a thing for a while,
but for it was better than felt because if somebody dropped something, your foot would be wet for 12 hours.
Yeah, the worst.
Sometimes you're working for 12 hours. If somebody drops a cup of coffee,
the first time,
water at your 11 a.m. shift and you got to work till 4.
So, 4 or
Who
7.
wants to have wet feet for 5 hours?
And nobody keeps a spare pair of shoes in the car.
Nobody.
So
they were phenomenal for what they served. I would never wear them in public, but.
Yeah, no,
putting miles on it.
Like I said,
yeah,
interesting. No, but when you talk about what a chef should look like, it used to be all about wearing the coat.
Sure.
I still always wear an apron. It's funny because the apron is almost a focus point. I know when I put the apron on, I gotta, be about my business and get into a rhythm. And for cooking, for me, that's what it's all about. So once I write the menu, I'll write the menu.
Sure.
Then comes the shop list. And have routines for that, and then I get serious. My game face is on there. Usually, I shop a day ahead of time, pick up all the big proteins and stuff like that, and the last minute veggies from the produce stand locally on the way out. But when I got to the kitchen, my routine is always to walk in with the briefcase on, nothing else, and clothes on, obviously.
Sure.
And say hello, how are you? Look at the kitchen, chat them up, find out what's on their mind if they have any concerns. And then just reassure them that I'll take care of bringing everything in. They don't have to worry about it. But then once I get everything in, everything laid out, on goes the apron, then I'm in the game.
Sure.
And then it's almost like your body goes. And that was the other thing that one guy, Eben Pagan, said, develop routines. Develop routines. Have a morning routine. Have when you start your work.
Yeah.
Have a hangout routine, like when you know. So you're going to be in relaxation mode for the next hour or two. Have a get ready for bed routine.
Sure.
And that's it. So once I put that apron on, it's almost like a runner training or a weightlifter training. Your body knows it's time to work.
Go time, yeah.
It's time to work. And that's the other thing. So if you're building a business, understand your go times and what they look like and have your little routines, because I guarantee you guys like Bezos, guys like Elon Musk, they have their routines.
Of course, you
and-
have to
But I'm saying they're not going to talk about it. We see the crazy side, or we see the side that
until they come on the podcast.
until they come on the podcast, and then you learn how people think, and that's always one of the things you want to do. Is you want to find out how people like this did what they did, or got to where they got, and you'll find out that consistent routines, daily routines, same thing, same time. Because it relieves your brain of the stress of thinking.
Sure.
Because you're in this mode and you just kind of do it automatically. So, but I used to put the chef. I always used to wear the chef coat because I used to take pride in that because now I'm a chef.
Sure.
And now I've gotten to the point where I can show up in just, a short sleeve polo shirt.
Sure.
Nice jeans, clean, ready to go.
Yep.
Throw the apron on and they see me as the chef. There are other times I know it's a bigger event than I do. I put on the black pants. I put on the black shoes.
I love
the white
chef
coat.
clothing. It's so
It looks
so
nice. I mean, it looks sharp. People look at you differently. I remember that. That was the first thing.
Sure.
When I was out at an event and I was dressed like that and I'm walking around, make sure everything was going out okay. And people just, they lean back a little bit, or they cock their head, or they raise their eye.
Sure.
If it's a woman that notices you, you see, and you see how they look at you, and it's kind of interesting. Because when you start letting your appearance manifest who you want to be, if you're starting a business, people they're looking for that. Subconsciously, they're looking for that.
Sure.
So it's like when I met you at the networking group, the minute you said you're the digital guy, I'm like, okay, you're cool, you're young, you're edgy,
Sure.
you know a lot more about this stuff than I do. You can do deeper dive. But I'm just saying, that's my impression.
Of course.
And then the way you did your presentation.
Yeah.
You talked about what it is you do. You talked about LinkedIn, and then that, like, for me, is like my LinkedIn game is horrible.
Sure.
So like that's one of the things I want to build a relationship on, because you're like, okay, now this guy can help me do this.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's like Bill's the real estate guy, but he looks like a real estate guy.
Sure.
He looks like a guy you'd go to a closing with.
Yep.
And just everyone looks their part to some degree or another.
Yeah, you got to look your part. And it's
But you also get to define it too.
You do.
But there are stereotypes out there that you're looking for.
Of course, you can build the persona that you want.
Correct.
If you want people to think about, I would love to just dress like this to go to one of those meetings, but that doesn't represent who I am and the brand and all that kind of stuff. And I'm a big proponent of self-branding.
Yeah. You do have to know when to step on the gas pedal there.
Yeah, and look, for me to throw a polo on takes 3 minutes.
That long, huh?
No, well, it's usually locating it. That's the longest part.
Sounds like a single guy problem.
Yeah, and what did I do with that shirt or whatever it is? But for the most part, it's like, I just people take business too seriously in a lot of different things, and there's a lot of things that I've seen that I'm like, oh, that makes sense or whatever it is. But like, at least from what I found. I hate when people put on the show.
Right, when they overdo it.
When they overdo it, or
Right.
they're like,
or they think they're really important.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, relax, man.
It's
like
business. They're going to say yes or they're going to say no.
Yep. I'm like, I don't.
And you can't control that.
If you're not in finance, don't wear a tie.
Yeah.
I don't want you wearing a tie. It's just weird.
You don't want my attorney wearing a tie, I guess.
I don't even want him wearing it. I don't even want him wearing a tie. Like,
Yes,
if you're in court, wear a tie. But if you're meeting me for a lunch meeting,
chill out, calm down.
You can wear a t-shirt and jeans, man. I know you. Especially after the first meeting.
Yeah, I mean, because you and I reset the trajectory for our relationship today.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's how I am, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't, and now you've seen this, and and I think the podcast now knows that like I have a barn here and a fridge and all that good stuff, it's a goddamn
pretty
mess
next
right
level.
now.
He's got stuff going on,
but
in another 10 years he'll be taking over the internet. So
that's the goal. That and to grow this place and really have like, not that this isn't a studio, but like have a whole dedicated studio and all that kind of stuff.
It's like, what are we doing tonight, Brain? Same thing we do every night, Pinky.
Yeah.
Try to take over the world.
Every once in a while, they're like, what do you do? I was like, I'm just trying to take over the world. They're like, what do you mean? I was like, every day I just work a little harder to just take over the world.
That's it. Well, it's like, I always loved it when Brain was on Jeopardy. He put his name Brain, but the Alex Trebek character would call him Brian.
I did not see this.
Oh, he's like, oh, Brian. It's Brain, Alex.
Oh, my God. That was a great show. That
was like so ahead of its time.
Oh, it really was.
So ahead of its, and the humor.
So ahead.
It's good humor when it makes you laugh
I think
years
it was
later.
phenomenal humor.
It was.
I never got into South Park, but I love
No.
The Brain.
I regret South Park even exists. I'm sure there's people out there.
Really?
I just think it makes too much fun of the culture and the norms that some people are a little more attached to, that are part of who we are. But and I'm all for lampooning. I'm all for making fun of, like, if we're just doing something to do something.
Sure.
Or are we doing something because it has a purpose? I just think it dances really on a real fine razor's edge of making fun of something we respect, but at the same time it has the effect of diminishing it. If people don't have, like, I grew up understanding, we'll talk, being serious about, family and respecting family. It's like,
Sure.
like Family Guy. I get the humor. I get it.
Sure.
Families are dysfunctional.
Sure.
But it gets to the point where, writers they just got to dream up new stuff, and sometimes they just go so far. And that's the whole problem with humor. There's you can go too dark.
Sure.
And you can go too light, and then it's not entertaining. So I get it. They got to produce content.
Yeah.
It's like the talking, we've got 24/7 talk. If we had $1 for every time, Clinton Trump was said in the election, or impeachment, or, inverted yield curve, I mean,
Yeah.
the national debt be paid off. So,
Sure.
So, I mean, I get it. They're creative. A lot of people relate to it. There's just something about it that, I grew up I grew up more traditional.
Sure.
I'm still, for all my flaws, I still consider myself, Christian, whatever that means. I know that's not in vogue these days.
Oh, God, no. I've definitely converted over to atheism.
So, but I'm saying, these are things that allow me to make sense of the world.
Sure.
And I get it. There's a million different viewpoints in the world, and you got to put a framework on this insanity that we have that you can hang a hat on.
Sure.
So, and then our function as human beings is being able to communicate from different points of view.
Sure.
Without, being idiots about it. Because there are a million different facets.
There's a time to be serious and there's a time to have fun.
Right, no, but also I'm saying. So, yeah.
I mean, look, I'm the kind of guy, if I'm making humor jokes, I've definitely gone a little too far off the deep end.
Yeah, we all have. I have, I have
and
too,
I'm
absolutely.
notorious for it. And I actually,
we all have that fault.
prior to, or I think just last week, I rearranged the whole podcast setup where now if somebody wants to come on the show, I send them a link, they book a show.
Right.
It brings them to a second video. It's
Okay.
gives them a heads up of what to expect, all the requirements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I had somebody cancel on me, and I don't care that somebody canceled on me. But I'm like, there's got to be a way to automate this, because going back and forth to find a time and stuff like that on the podcast,
It's just a waste of time.
it's a waste of time. It's
Right.
it's irritating. It's never convenient. It's this comes up. Now it's like, hey, just grab it on my calendar. You want to come down? Are you going to be in person? Yes. Here's that link. Are you gonna be,
Right.
we
It's
doing
interesting. It's
digitally?
interesting because back in the day, making and setting and keeping appointments by phone and even by letter. I mean, people used to make appointments by letter.
I couldn't even
So
imagine.
now it's just go on an app, and is it working? By and large, yes, it works. It is a step forward.
Sure.
And moving forward, all generations, that will be what's norm. But when you're talking, a boomer like myself, who watched there be no computer to there be a computer. And all the technology, where were we? We're in 2019, heading on 2020, and I'm talking, I graduated high school in the 70s. Big difference.
Oh,
so the
gotta
way
be
we're doing,
huge.
absolutely huge. So, and when our generation is no longer here, it will just be what this is moving forward.
Sure.
So have we made advances? Yeah. So, and again, that will then change the dynamic of how the society this generation is creating interacts, has its history, has its memories, and then what's the next level?
Oh, I think about this all the time.
I mean,
Cybertruck, bro. Cybertruck's the next level. I can't wait to get mine.
Really?
Oh, I'm so excited. My buddy didn't even believe me.
Cybertruck?
Yeah. You don't know what it is?
I will when you tell me.
Oh, Elon Musk's new truck.
Oh, the one that drives itself?
Yeah. I put the deposit on it. I can't wait to get it. I'm so excited.
That's interesting.
I
I just don't understand this obsession with self-driving cars.
Oh my God. You've never driven a Tesla, have you? You know what? I never understood it either. And then my buddy a couple months ago, right before you joined the group, actually. So the group that we keep referring to the group, it's a Latip group. It's basically a cult. It's some bullshit. But it's a great networking group.
Right, but it has a strata. It has a very specific strata in
That's
networking.
exactly right. It's just a cult, essentially. It's actually in my phone as cult shit. I swear to God, everybody they're like, oh, you're a part of the tip. I'm like, yeah, I'm in the cult, and they're like, dude, it is a cult, right? And I'm like, yes, it is. It is absolutely a cult, and it's crazy.
But they're good people.
So yeah, so the good old Cybertron.
Oh yes, I have seen that. And you put when is he supposed to deliver those?
2021 or 22, something like that. One of those two.
What does it retail for? 100,000?
No, this is gonna go for. They have one that's actually we could look at it right now. Order now. I got the dual motor. Mine is gonna be 57,000 at the door.
That's not horrible.
No. So
it's about a Mercedes.
The single motor is 40,000. The dual motor is 50,000, and then the tri motor is 60,000. And then if you get the full self driving, it's another $7,000. And then I put the $100 deposit on it, and then begin
making payments. You could probably pay it off before you even take delivery.
Oh yeah. I'm just going to start throwing some money away for it and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And
well, that will certainly make a statement when you drive up to the cheesy diner we meet at.
Yeah. Look, yeah, that's pretty much the goal. It's not even the goal. It's just so a couple months back I had one of my buddies in my fraternity was like, "Hey, we actually went camping this past summer," and he's like, "Oh, he's like I want to tell you guys I'm moving to Austin, whatever." He's like, I got to get the Tesla down there and all that kind of stuff. I go, oh, dude, if you want to do a road trip, I'm in. I love road trips. I'm actually going to be doing
Yeah, you were saying.
I'm planning out my next one.
Last time we talked in the morning, you said you did it for like pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. I'm a pro at cheap road trips.
I got to talk to you because I suck at it. So
I could pro at cheap road trips.
Take some pointers.
So we did a road trip in his Model 3 all the way down to Austin. It took us 4 days to get there.
Austin, Texas?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
4 days on the road.
Sick. What?
4 days on the road?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Okay.
Dude, self-driving car, you don't have to drive. It's sick. It's silly. It's amazing.
Game at the gaming console, huh? While you're driving?
Literally, we're watching Netflix on our phones while we have a hand on the wheel. The car will drive itself. It's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Like, when people don't understand how incredible Tesla is, and it's very... It's like against all of your ethical codes to let go of the wheel. Because you're like, oh my God, I could die. I could kill somebody.
Yeah.
The car is far safer driving itself than with you behind the wheel.
There is something about releasing the autonomy that to ears of a person my age,
just even a guy like me. I mean, I definitely have way more miles under my belt than
I'm sure you
people
do.
My age,
I'm sure.
But
still, it's just like I said. Obviously, it's where the future is going. So I can't fight change, and these aren't medieval times. But yeah, it's a beautiful. It's a gorgeous car. So
we were going through.
I'll be happy to when you're taking names for who's going to get a ride in there. I want to be in the first 20.
I'm sure you will. But it's like we were in where were we? I think we were in Mississippi. And I was doing autopilot at 90 miles an hour.
Jesus.
Like, it's pitch black out. The car has memory modes, so like most cars nowadays have 2 or 3 memory modes.
Yeah.
The Tesla has, like, as far as I know, like unlimited. So he had his own memory mode, then he had his own relaxed memory mode.
Oh my God.
So like, if he was going to actually be driving, he would be sitting upright, and then if he wasn't going to be driving, he'd be sitting all the way back, and the wheel will be sitting in between his legs, and you have 2 fingers on the wheel, because it does flash to say, hey, you
need to interact.
Make sure that it's more so to make sure you're awake. Otherwise, it'll pull all the way over and stop the car.
Interesting. So it knows when you sleep.
It knows if you fall asleep or not.
It's kind of like Santa Claus.
Yeah, basically. So
just let me interrupt here.
Sure.
So for people who understand, so he's talking about that. So back in college, when I was up in Michigan, Lansing, Michigan, Bible college no less, to which this very day my second son chides me for. Dad, Bible college, really? So anyhow, there was me and 2 other guys that lived on Long Island, and we would share a ride coming back for Christmas. So I had a 70 Chevy Chevelle, 2-door. Love that car. Picked it up for $475. Everything that my paper route earned me in my whole life. Bought it from an upperclassman. So we're driving home one time, and it was normally a 20-hour trip, but Barney was really horny and wanted to get back and see his girlfriend. We made the trip in 18 hours. So there's 3 of us. There's me, Dan, and Barney, and we would take around. So anyhow, we knew we were getting home, so we would do Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania was 6 hours.
Yeah.
Line to line.
This was in Michigan?
I came down Michigan, crossed Ohio, then we got into Pennsylvania, 6 hours across. Then Jersey was a simple hour and a half, and then it was on the expressway. And pick your exits, and we drop guys off. Anyhow, so we knew we were getting close when we would hit Stroudsburg. So we hit Stroudsburg at 3 a.m, rain, snow, and there was the
Shifter?
the shifter on the steering wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to put it in park, and all of a sudden it went really loose.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so none of us were mechanics, and we were just stopping at Dunkin' Donuts for coffee and sugar. Got down underneath. This is how simple it was compared to this technology you're talking about. Underneath, and I could see it, there was a little U-bolt sitting, and now I'm laying on wet, snowy ground trying to figure this out.
Sure.
There was a little U-bolt that the shifter drive, the pin had pulled out of.
Sure.
So I get down there, click, click to reverse, told the one guy, pull back. I had to lay in the middle of the parking lot, click, click for drive, and that's how we drove home. And then had to take it to the mechanics the next day. It was, I don't even, come to think of it, I don't even remember when I got home how I even stopped the car. I think I...
You brakes and you
get
out
brakes
and
you
just
put the brake and then turn it. But so
now
we have...
when people are like, why do you want the Tesla truck? And I'm like,
when people, beautiful.
When people
I mean,
say,
if they're taking orders, he's got to deliver.
Oh, yeah.
So,
but people are like, I don't understand why you like, self-driving, I'm like, you've obviously never driven a Tesla.
Yeah.
Because when you drive, and I used to think it was the stupidest thing in the world until I did this road trip, and this road trip opened my mind.
Okay.
Well, and,
well, that's the times we live in.
Oh, yeah.
We are technology, and the things we can do force those decisions in front of us, and we got to decide how we're going to interact
100%.
with them, whether we're going to embrace it or resist it.
100%.
These are, I mean, they're wonderful.
Oh,
they're wonderful,
yeah.
and and again, the old Spider-Man thing, with great power comes great responsibility. So
for sure.
So we're kind of up in our game, here, and if that's the case, then we'd all better up our communication game from tribal, which is what we're becoming, to knowing how to communicate with people that we don't agree with. And that's going to be the key skill to develop moving forward. If we've learned anything from these tumultuous times.
Sure.
And it's not even political. It's just about being a human with a brain.
Yeah.
We're doing this podcast, and whoever's watching, and I'm glad you're listening. So my saying is not to believe the way I believe or think the way I think, but just look at the challenge we have. So let's take all this good stuff. It's what is it? Great minds. What is it? Weak minds talk about other people. Mediocre minds, talk about problems. But great minds, people who are great minds, they talk about ideas.
Yes.
And concepts.
Yep.
I know I screwed up that saying, but you know what I'm saying.
I know. I've heard that before.
So now, you can't just be the beer and pretzels crowd, the bowling alley crowd that just, and you can hang out. It's like who reads the National Enquirer? Who reads those, those celebrity magazines?
I used to work at CVS
and yet
there's
there's people
and I'm like, this
right,
is
like who
garbage.
reads that? I mean, but there's a strata of people that are there. And all I'm saying is, if we're going to be given this much ability to communicate this quickly, this broadly, with so few restrictions. Like, look at Twitter. I mean, I remember when Craigslist first started, and it quickly became the bathroom wall of the internet.
Yeah.
Like, before you know it, you was like, oh, I'm from Zimbabwe, and we want to send you $10 million. You can take 10%. And there were people who fell for that because we're rubes. But now we're past that. It's like, I'm on Twitter, and I keep getting girls that, are happily, looking for a man. I'm like, okay, that's great. So another bot. So once again, human nature, the race to the bottom to abuse a system is amplified so much quicker. We talked about Magic. So the first thing that Magic struggles with is keeping the game fair, and how far can we keep this ball going to the guys that are degenerate and want to win by turn 3.
Yeah.
Who's fun? How is that fun for the person across the table?
Sure.
So that's the whole thing. And it's not about beating people down with ideas. It's about getting those ideas out on the table and judging them on their merits. And the thing that makes us stronger as a society is being able to hear our cherished ideas picked apart.
Yes.
And come back and say, but this is why we want to preserve that. This is why we want to build on that. And then technology and these things, they open up so many doors. Hey, we can do this now. Like, we can do this now? And, and it's the same mindset as us, like we talked about starting a business. Until you see yourself that way, you're going to be held back. Mm-hmm. But the only person holding us back is always ourselves.
It's never anybody else.
It's never anyone else. So, if you're going to say, oh, well, the world's going to shit, it's because you choose to see it that way. It's like you said, I didn't dig in deep enough. So to me, what we've learned from this crazy social time is anything's possible. But the question we have to decide is, how are we going to communicate about it? and get everybody's voice heard.
Sure.
And then how do we move forward that everyone can go, okay, this is a good path.
Sure.
And then when people say, oh, how America used to be, there used to be a time when we all pretty much saw the same vision, the flag, we were happy with the military, the family, and everyone was and we all watched the Ed Sullivan Show. That was kind of how we culturally connected.
Sure.
Now we've got Netflix, you got this, you got YouTube, you got a million different, and it fractures us.
Sure.
When we talk about a national or an identity as a people, hey, I'm part of this, this bigger picture, and I'm contributing in my little way. And now it's more fragmented, and that's dangerous.
Sure.
Because we're not all working from the same page, to use that overused cliche, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I know. I know exactly what you mean. It's the beautiful part of it. The best and worst part about technology is now it's I'm just gonna sit here and check I got a text message from girlfriend,
and laziness and bad habits kick in.
Yep. Oh, I got a call from mom. I got this.
Wait, what's going on? Did my Twitter thing get a like?
Yeah, oh my God, that's the thing. That's the one thing that drives me bananas. Is like when people's emotions and self-esteem is controlled by social media. But the other flip side of things too is I'm realizing that a lot of people were just coddled all their life.
That's
that's
encouraging to hear.
Yeah, it's and it's like you never went through struggle. You never went through great example. I love my girlfriend to death, but we're doing isogenics right now, and we just did like the 2-day cleanse, and we just finished. I'm looking forward to my first meal today, and in 2 days.
It is a good feeling.
And it's funny. Like she's like, this is the hardest thing I ever did, and I'm like, if this is the hardest thing I ever did, you did live a pretty goddamn good life. And I'm like, this is easy. Like this is 2 days of not eating.
Right.
Like.
A real fast is 7 days and nothing but water.
Oh,
and, minimal.
And I'm like, I think I might
maybe some soups.
Yeah, I might do. In the beginning of the year.
I mean, if you want to lose weight, you go on a soup diet for like 2 weeks.
Yep, it'll clear everything out.
You in the bathroom will become good friends.
Yep. But I'm like, this isn't that bad. It's really not that hard.
Yeah.
You just don't have to eat for 2 days. Like you could do anything. Like it's not like you can't leave your house. You can't do this. It's like. You just can't pick up. And look, don't get me wrong. I'm the fluffiest kid alive. I love eating. I love the sensation of eating.
Absolutely, it's the one thing we do orally that we can do in public together.
Yeah.
But no, I mean it's interesting to hear a person because I'm assuming you're in your 30s.
27.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Because my sons are 36 and 35. So, part of me as a parent who raised somebody from that generation is like, did I fuck up? Did I not? But both my boys work hard.
Sure.
I've got to think that they watch, lessons are caught, not taught.
Sure.
So they saw their dad working hard. So I'm assuming, and they're not complainers.
Sure.
They'll bitch and moan about normal stuff and then move on.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, my older son, he's dating a lovely girl, but she's kind of a little wallflower. Doesn't really know how to interact. She's sweet enough. My son loves her. And, they seem happy. They're sharing an apartment together. But I said to him, I did write him a letter, and I'm like, look, she's great, but is she the partner that's going to be the best for you?
Yeah.
I mean, and I just put it out. I said, look, I'm just going on the record. I'll treat her with love and respect, and
sure.
This is your choice. I'm with you. But
is she the one? Yeah.
Is she the one? And if it doesn't work out, because you already was in one relationship. And it ended, but he ended, for proper reasons.
Sure.
And he was okay with that. He struggled with it, but, he came out of it on the other side saying, yeah, I made the right decision. It was really hard. But yeah, the fact that we have a generation of people, did we coddle them too much? Or are we just suffering from the fact that life is really good right now in these United States?
Yeah, I mean, look, I see it. Parents these days, they don't let their kid fail.
Oh,
it's
the helicopter mom thing is.
What's the hell? Oh, they're always hovering?
They're always hovering over it, like never let them out.
It's like everybody gets an award. It's like, no, you don't fucking deserve an award.
No,
you lost.
Right.
Why do you don't get a pat on the back? Yeah, okay, great, you tried hard. Whoop-de-fucking-doodle-doo. Well, if you suck, if you never win an award at something, either you better really love it and you just are okay with constantly not winning, or
right, or
if you really love it, stop
better-
entering in competitions and just do it because you love it,
right,
which
or
is
get better at it.
totally fine. You know, if you like knitting, I don't know if there's knitting. I'm sure there's goddamn knitting competitions,
I don't
but
know.
like,
No.
you know, if you like doing
There's
it,
probably an app for that. So.
oh, probably. But like, you don't need to go compete in that industry, right? If you're a chef and you just like being a chef and you don't want to be recognized on TV, then
you just
don't
do it.
enter a competition,
Right.
You know,
Which is interesting because Chopped has contacted me at least 3 times over the years.
really,
Yeah, I will never go on Chopped.
really.
We'll never go on Chopped.
Why?
Because they're looking for the breakdown. That's the TV value to them. They're not looking for the success. They don't care about the chef who wins.
No,
They care about the chefs who fail, and they want them to fail epically. So
yeah,
So funny story.
That is true. That's all TV though.
But it's reality
They always
TV.
want a story.
No, I've watched them, and I see what these people pull. First of all, that appetizer in 20 minutes. I'm sorry. So when you go on Chopped, you have to have recipes already set in your mind, and whatever the basket throws at you, you pick out what used to be in that recipe and put that in.
Yeah.
And then figure out how you can cook it. I'm sorry,
Sure.
20 minutes with a curd. You got to, like, the minute you open that basket, you have to know exactly what it is. If you take 5 minutes, 2 minutes to figure out your recipe, you're done.
Dead in the water.
You're done. So I haven't done that. So funny thing too. So my lesson was that. So way back before Donald Trump was the president, the second season of The Apprentice was coming in. So I'm getting ready for McDonald's, doing an open chef. I've got the TV on, getting dressed in the living room. Come down, this Friday, he's like, we're taking casting call for The Apprentice too. And this was already when the first season had gone through, and Sam, the guy, fell asleep in the boardroom, that kind of thing. So I went there, took a train right in, arranged my schedule, go down there, 2-3 blocks long, cold rain. We're talking a March morning in the city, and big banner, and we're standing outside and we're bonding. Finally get inside, and it's really funny because at that particular moment, so we're in a big hall, elevators, a little gift shop, and we can see, like place where all the tables and they're doing the interviews are at. So Trump comes out of the elevator with his entourage, shakes hands, very nice.
Sure.
Moves on. We're like, oh, shake Donald Trump's hand, blah, blah, blah. Had no idea of what was to come. So finally we get our chance at the table. And I was going through divorce at the time, so my head was pretty much up my butt. So we sit down, 13 other people, all strangers, and some young girl with a notepad. And she looks at me and says, Lance, what was the biggest mistake you ever made in your life? I froze. Because I had not really started counseling to deal with my problems at the time. And by the way, counseling is never anything to be ashamed of. It does help you.
Sure.
And I froze because I could have gone into my life story about my marriage in front of 13 other strangers trying to get on national TV. Who knows? I could have been the next star. But I knew then and there that the only thing the media wanted was the train wreck so they could put a camera on it because that drew attention.
Of course.
I never wanted that to define who I was.
People don't realize that that's what TV is. They go like America's Got Talent, The Voice. I had a friend that was on The Voice. He didn't make it, but
we got there.
The only reason why I got on is because of my story.
Right.
He's like, he knows that.
Well, that's good that he knows that.
Yeah, he's like, and a lot of people are starting to realize, like, they all have a story, and and part of what people want to see is the flop,
Correct.
And it sucks, but
correct.
You're also, and you're taking a chance by going on TV to potentially win. So
it all depends on your
reward.
Right. It also depends on your personality. So because I'll watch the chefs and like they give them the compliment with one hand and they smack them upside the head with the other. It's like, you know what? I don't need that.
Yeah.
So I cook so people can enjoy being together.
Sure.
I'm not worried. I know I'm not the best chef in the kitchen. I am never worried about that.
Sure.
I know I'm the best person you want in the kitchen to help you.
Sure.
That I know.
Sure.
But that's not TV.
Yeah.
That's just not TV. So, but yeah, what is it? I've worked with other celebrity chefs. I've cooked for celebrities, and they just want to be people.
Yeah.
They just want to be taken care of. The coolest moment was I got to cook for Sarah Jessica Parker.
Oh, that's cool.
Her and Matthew Broderick were out in Amagansett. And it was like a last-minute thing, and they came out, and she looks just the way she looks. She shows, summer, and she's there in, cut-off jean shorts and a top. Oh, hi, come in. She's like getting down, bending down to get stuff out. Oh, my pots and pans. I'm like, it's okay. I'll take care of it. Okay, my knives are over here. No, I got knives. Oh, okay. And the coolest thing was when she's like, She calls around because like it was a kitchen and there was
Sure.
like a wall, and then the living room was on the other side, and then had the wall, and the house was like right on the beach. It was like
Sure.
insane.
Sick.
And she's like calls around the corner. She's like, Matthew, come meet Chef Lance. And like Matthew Broderick comes around. I'm like, yo, dude, sup?
You're like,
It was like so cool because then I'm out there grilling the steaks as part of the menu, and he swings by, and I'm like, how cool? Because he was doing the Broadway show at the time.
Sure.
I said, how cool is it that you get to go and like do that Broadway thing? And he's just like, didn't say much. He just kind of nodded and smiled. He said, oh, it's so cool. It's the best. And I felt really good for him because, like,
Yeah. He enjoys it.
you get to do something you love.
Yeah.
And, people know you, and that's a great thing. And it's also a bad thing when people know you that
Yeah.
much, too. But, the fact that he could just chill out. And then when it came time to eat, they didn't even sit at the table. She sat down on the floor at the coffee table, with her and her friends. And,
Sure.
they just want to be people. And it's like, celebrities, if you're a person that, like, goes gaga over celebrities, just leave them alone.
Yeah.
They want to be left alone.
I really don't.
Just leave them alone.
I don't
they
get
do
the
a job.
fascination of it. Like I went when I was in Austin. I went to see. I went to Franklin's Barbecue, and Aaron Franklin's the
Nice.
guy that started it. And
Okay.
do you know Franklin's Barbecue? It's one of
Obviously,
the it's one of the number
it's
one
a
barbecue
thing.
spots in literally the world.
Okay.
And so Aaron came out, and he's just talking to a couple people. And I'm like, oh shit, there he is. Like that's
Aaron
cool.
Sanchez?
No, Aaron Franklin.
Aaron Franklin.
Yeah, he
Okay.
owns it,
All right.
and the
Okay.
barbecue is
Yeah,
incredible.
no, I mean,
Incredible. And we waited 3 hours online for it. And yeah. So
I don't even wait 3 hours for sex. So, I mean.
it was honestly, it might have been better than sex.
Well, like I said, it's something you can do with your mouth in public.
Yeah. And
you're not going to get arrested for.
And
So.
it's not just the barbecue, it's like the whole experience, right?
It
It's
is.
getting there early, talking to people online.
It's also the mystique that's around.
Yeah,
it.
and then you can
And it's a
smell it.
bonding, and you meet new
Yep.
people.
And then you see him, and I've been a fan of his for a while now.
Nice.
And but it's so funny. Like I'm like, oh, there he is. I was like, oh, I'd love to go meet him. And then I'm like, oh, it really wouldn't matter to me. Yeah, it'd be cool to take a picture with him, but
No.
I can't sit there and talk. Like I would love to have him on the podcast. Like
Yeah.
I'd love to sit
Yeah,
there.
because
And,
then you can connect on a different level.
yeah, it's not like. It was funny. I used to work at Jones Beach, and I remember when Nick Jonas was there.
Okay.
And
The Jonas Brothers.
Yep, the Jonas
Okay.
Brothers, and Nick Jonas was there, and he was doing a meet and greet, and one little girl was like, I can't wait, and she was old enough that she could understand logic.
Right.
She was she must have been 16 or 17 years old or something like
Okay.
that, and she was just a little younger than me because I think I was 20 at the time.
Okay.
And she's like, oh, I can't wait to meet him. I go, okay, cool. What are you gonna do? And she's like, she froze up. I go,
it's like the dog catching the car. Now that you caught
I
it,
go,
what are you gonna
well, it's
do with
cool
it?
that you got a did I think it's funny when they say meet and greet, right? Did you actually meet them, or you shook their hand and took a picture with them? Because that's not a meeting. You
Right,
could,
but you realize the
You know.
limits of the moment.
yeah, it's just
When
it's
you're
not
there.
real,
Right.
Yeah, they're doing it for their fans, and I don't
But again,
understand the whole attachment with that.
Like we talked about before, the theme that seems to be through the podcast is how we interact with something.
Sure.
And like we talked about, starting a business is all mental. So it's like I remember when my son, Jacob, when he was just kind of 7 going into 8 or 8 going into 9, and maybe a little bit younger, and it was one of those little machines that like a rocket ship, and
Sure. Yeah.
and he wanted to ride it and put the quarter in, and he just wanted that to be a rocket ship so bad. But I could see the look on his little face at the time. He's trying to make it go faster,
Yeah.
and I could see the disappointment in his face. He's like, yeah, this shit's not cutting it.
Yeah.
And it was just I still remember that to this very day. And it's there comes a moment when the illusion falls away. Because we want to believe in heroes. We want to believe in Santa Claus. But then we learn and we make peace with the fact that Santa Claus is just a wonderful idea of generosity,
Sure.
person to person. And it's nice to put it in a personification. And all the things that you can track that
A fat
down to.
jolly man with white hair.
Yeah, why not? Sure. Anyhow, who likes cookies and lives on cookies and milk and doesn't die of diabetes? Sure, why not? But
Yep.
but like celebrities at one time, it's like Mick Jagger. I'm 60, he's 75.
Sure.
He is still singing the songs he sang when he was a kid.
Yeah.
But what else is he going to do? You're Mick Jagger. I
Yeah.
mean, and they still, why? Because they still throw money at it. So we got artists, and then you got Peter Tork from the Monkees, and he's doing local theater. He's coming down to Patchogue Theater.
Sure.
Maybe he's grabbing half a stadium of people that
Sure.
are still alive. Yeah, he was just as famous,
Sure.
or just as well known.
Yeah.
So, and again, it has to do with what we impose. And it's the same thing as how we interact with society and social media. It's what we impose on what we see.
Sure.
One of the greatest phrases that I love to live by is a statement from Epictetus. And he was a slave who became a philosopher back in the early, like 800 AD. It says, people are not upset by the things that happen, but by their opinions of the things that happen.
Oh, 100%. It's what you perceive it. There's a lot of things I prefer not to do because the experience is better painted in my brain without being there. Meaning, I just went to see the Rockefeller tree for the first time in my life the other day.
Yeah.
With my girlfriend. It was a cool time.
Yep.
But I've been there. Outrageously underwhelming.
And your life has not changed one way or the other.
Nope.
But the barbecue in Texas was a life-changing experience.
That was. So,
was it perception or was it value?
It could have been both. I didn't think of the tree as anything spectacular, but I thought it was cool, to go
cool.
see it. It's like, all right, it's just a giant Christmas tree with a bunch of lights on it.
But you're still looking over your shoulder for a terrorist going to blow it up.
That's part of it.
That was probably
crowd. I don't like crowded places.
It's shoulder to shoulder people.
Too many people. I'm not a fan of crowds. I'm not a fan of, and
yeah, no.
I mean, it could be part fireman. It could be part research. Bad things happen in crowded places. Think about it, right? School shootings, mall shootings.
Well, there's no one center focus. Everyone is distracted.
Yep.
And too many things can go unnoticed, and too many unanswered questions. Absolutely.
So, the idea of going there, I'm like, yeah, I wasn't opposed to going, but
it's always nice to go. But
in my mind, it had a better picture than I thought it would be.
Right. Well, there's all those Christmas movies where they always refer to the tree.
Yeah.
You just keep seeing it, and when something keeps being repeated over and over, you build it up.
Yeah. Well, that was the same thing that happened with Franklin's, and I guess.
But Franklin's delivered.
Well, Franklin's delivered, but you also got to remember too, 5 senses, right? Touch, taste, feel, and.
But there was the meeting of the people, the smell of the place, the excitement.
It's like, what do you prefer?
You're getting hungry or your mouth is watering because you're getting closer to that beer or that scotch or whatever you're going to drink. And then when you get the freaking plate of barbecue, and then you meet the chef or the guy behind it, and your friends and you, and you drove 4 days to get there.
Yep, it's the whole experience.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Not that the experience
the
is
tree
any less.
is just a tree, and they're like, get out of the way. You can't even take a decent picture.
Yeah.
Because everyone is bumping into you. Or
smells like New York City, like everywhere else in New York City.
Which can be good, can be bad.
You're not tasting anything.
Warm
You're
chestnuts
seeing,
yeah.
It's not like you haven't seen it before. Like you could look at it online, but everybody and their mother is already taking a picture in front of the tree. It's
Correct,
not like, they're reinventing the wheel here.
Exactly.
So.
But what is always impressive in the city is any of the tall buildings you go to.
That is very impressive.
That's interesting. It doesn't matter, Rockefeller Center still, if you dig into the history, once we picked up a book from Rockefeller Center, just the detail that's in there. They're not building buildings like that with Art Deco and, statues of gods and things like that.
Don't.
Images that
you
are
don't
just
almost, you almost
so
don't
powerful.
need to because.
But the point is, it had character. It's also a cultural center. There's so much going on there. There's history being made. History was made. History to be made in Rockefeller Center.
Sure.
There's the highs and the lows, associated with NBC being there. Is NBC our friend? Is it our foe? Are they helping us? Are they hurting us?
Sure.
What's really going on?
Sure.
Who are the people in charge? But yeah, no, I get it. The tree is beautiful, but, like watching the Super Bowl, it's better to watch the Super Bowl on 60 inches in your living room with all the snacks, beer, and the bathroom 2 steps away than to go spend $1,200 a ticket just to get there. And God knows what you're going to spend on food.
I guess Jones Beach kind of ruined live music for me.
Really?
Yeah,
why?
I have a tremendous value for live music, but I'd rather almost see it in like a small bar than a giant venue,
Absolutely.
where don't get me wrong, I saw some fucking amazing shows at Jones Beach. Yeah, I saw 150 shows. I worked there for 3 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
Well, 150 shows. That's more than anybody
than some people
watching
see in a lifetime.
I've been to Jones Beach a couple times. I saw Sting.
Okay.
That was awesome. Kenny Loggins, I think, opened for him. That was when I dropped my son off at college at Hofstra for the first year. That was an awesome. Saw Phil Collins and Sting. That was a together.
Oh, that's
thing.
cool. I would have liked to see Phil Collins.
It was kind of neat because they, instead of one artist then another one,
Yeah,
they split the stage side by side.
that's cool.
And then Sting would do a song, and then Phil Collins would do a song, and then they do a cover together.
Sure.
And then Sting would do a song.
That's sick.
That was the most creative and the most fun night there was. Actually, it was Annie Lennox who opened for Sting. It was Hall & Oates who had Kenny Loggins open for them.
Okay.
Hall & Oates knocked it out of the park.
Okay.
Because they kind of fallen off the charts, but then they came back and like I guess Daryl Hall, or was it John Oates? Who's the blonde? Hall.
Oh God, I don't know.
Isn't it funny that we know who Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse is? But yeah, I guess he'd fall. I guess I'm not sure he got tired of the playlist, but then where he's getting to the oh fuck it, I don't want to do this anymore. But then he found his soul again. Every song, like all their hits.
Yeah.
Like, every song was dripping with richness, and like you just drank it up. And Annie Lennox opened for them, and man, she was just like
the one thing I will definitely say is like
a true artist.
Sure.
Because she came in, it was just she just really just like it was killer.
Oh,
Loved
I believe
it.
it.
Loved it.
You really get to see the difference between a performance and good music.
Right.
A lot of people play good music.
Right.
And good music live is, in my opinion, probably comparable to listening to their professionally made stuff. If you're a really good artist and you sound just as good as like I just saw OAR the other day.
Okay.
Just as good as they are on their album. Like flawless.
Yeah, but that also has to do with the sound mixers and stuff and making sure they get all
Of course.
all the trebles and all this stuff.
But
right.
then it's like you see a guy like Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Or, the bad Aerosmith and Steven Tyler, and you're like, holy fuck.
Yeah, they were.
That is a performance. Like, out of all the shows, Neil Diamond puts on a sick show. Like, just a show. It's engaging. You're there. Jimmy Buffett, show. Like, you could listen to all of Jimmy Buffett's music you could ever want to listen to, but it's not the show.
The show is
Iron Maiden,
where he connects.
Show.
It's where they connect with their diehard fans.
Dave Matthews, show. You get a group like Rascal Flatts, music. Right. There was no point.
That's a really good point because that's, there are really good artists out there, but the things that seem to gravitate to the height of the celebrity culture are the Taylor Swifts, and they're good and they've worked hard. Like you said, music.
Yeah.
Not show.
Like you see,
and there's depth, there's backstory, there's connection because different. Like I said,
there's like
certain music,
passion,
right? And there's people that respond to it, and that's what I'm saying. If you have a product or a service that you're good at, you will find your audience.
Sure.
You're never going to get 100% of everybody.
Yeah.
Ever. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. It's impossible.
And as long as you realize that and don't try for that, I think that's what people scares because it's an all or nothing mindset like we talked about earlier.
It's
not so. It takes a while to find who and what you are.
Big time.
What you're good at.
I saw System of a Down put on a phenomenal show.
System of a Down, they had their moment in the sun. And what the hell ever happened to, what was that group? Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, Limp Bizkit. Whatever happened to Limp Bizkit?
Oh, God, I don't know. I don't know. I still listen to them.
I can't. Yeah, well, I mean, they had their moments, too. And then what was it, Gorillaz? Gorillaz was a group.
Yep, Gorillaz. I think they're still around. They just took a long time off.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. I mean, they're not. It's like the Rolling Stones are legitimately the Rolling Stones. Jimmy Buffett is always Jimmy Buffett. He does other things, but he knows how to step into that persona. I actually cooked for Jimmy Buffett for a couple times.
Really?
A friend of mine was
Cool.
was their steady chef, and he had me cover for him. Very cool people. They live local, right up here in Sag Harbor, not far away. Yeah, great house, very low key.
Produced the album in a while.
Yeah,
2010 was the last album.
That's a long time ago. But no, he was.
They did
just very easygoing guy.
This might not be them. Saturn's bars, but yeah, it's just it's like the experience between the two. I'm a big proponent on that.
Yeah, but you had 150 shows working at
to compare to. I would love
you have far more data than the average concert goer. I don't care if you do 20 concerts a year. It's insane.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm going to 2-3 concerts a week, if not more. Amazing experience, very eye opening. You really get to
take the temperature of that type of business.
Yeah, like I saw Imagine Dragons. They hit, when they were in their prime.
Excuse me.
Really good music, okay show, But then it keeps going back to Aerosmith. That was and I'm like, I like their music. I'm not like a diehard.
No, but you appreciate it.
But like, you walk away from that, I had the chills. You're like,
really? What was the difference? Is it just that they do things?
I don't fucking know.
So that's the thing. I mean, is it how they handle
like,
themselves, how they set
Steven,
up, how they segued from one song to the next?
It's a combination
of
that. It's Steven Tyler on stage. The one thing that I would say is, like, I saw Luke Bryan. Luke Bryan put on like more of a show than a music performance, in my opinion. He's definitely a performer.
Okay.
But the difference between, like, we'll go back to Rascal Flatts, right? Rascal Flatts. They're and I love country music. So for anyone that's listening who's like, oh, he's about to bash country music. No, I happen to really love country music. It's like they know that they've done it hundreds of times.
Right.
They're professionals.
Yeah.
They know exactly what they're doing. They go through the motions. They get you involved and stuff like that.
Right.
But then you see Steven Tyler.
But what does he do differently? Is he better at engaging the audience?
Steven Tyler comes out and sings like it is his last day on earth.
Interesting.
Like, if I die on the car ride home,
you're good.
Every single person in that stadium will remember me like the legend that I am. Like, if I saw Rascal Flatts, like, I only, and I'm not saying I've seen Steven Tyler on TV, but like, you're so highly engaged. The way he does everything. He screams like
he's all in.
He's like he's not 100% in. He's 1,000% in.
That's a lot to give.
There is no holding there. Like, there is nothing left in that tank when he's done. There can't be.
Wow.
It could be the kind of guy he is.
Yeah. But I'm saying he's had a a hard rock life.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So
but like,
he knows what he's doing.
I would imagine if I went backstage with Rascal Flatts, it would be
like hanging out, like being at La Tip.
Like, yeah, you go backstage with Steven Tyler, he's like
on
before
fire.
show, yeah, at the end of the show, dripping in sweat.
Wow.
I mean, full body. I need an hour to cool down.
Wow.
Like, gives 1,000,000%. The way he grabs the mic, the way he screams, you know that he knows he's done it 1,000,000 times.
But it's like he's doing it for the first time.
But yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know, but that, like,
yeah.
I never understood why
that
people love to
give.
see Aerosmith live.
Wow.
And after that show, I'm like, I'm sold. I'm absolutely sold.
That's
the difference.
Oh no, I hear you. I mean, whenever you're going to do anything, if you're good at it, you want to do it at a top-notch level. Interesting.
Neil Diamond puts on a performance, and this sounds crazy because he's an old dude. Puts on a performance like
Tony
it
Bennett's
is
still singing, as far
his
as I know.
last day on Earth. OAR, in my opinion, great music and a pretty decent performance. They put on a show like they had just started the band and they just got famous.
Yeah.
Like, you're like,
that old Boston song. We were just another band out of Boston.
Yep. It's just it's this experience like you wouldn't believe.
It's that hero's journey from nobody to somebody.
Yep.
And you own it, and you go there. Kind of funny story about Jimmy Buffett, if I can segue back to that for a second.
Sure.
So I'm cooking for them, working with the house manager, and he's helping me, make sure the menu stays up. And he's like, Lance, the Buffetts, they entertain some very famous people.
Sure.
He said, you have to be very cool about that. I'm like, I know, I understand. I cook for, not my first
rodeo.
Yeah, not my first person of note that I've cooked for.
Sure.
And he says, well, this weekend they're hosting Angelica Houston, the one who played Morticia Adams.
Sure.
And she's in John Wick 3 now. So they come down, and Angelica Houston walks in, and they're in like the wetsuits. They're going to go, sail boarding or something like that. So Billy, the house manager, is there, and he's like, Lance, he catches my attention. I'm just like, hi, good morning, how are you?
Sure.
Making some lunch. He's like, I'd like to introduce you to award-winning actress Angelica Houston. I looked at him like, we just talked about this.
Yeah.
But the funny thing was, she lit up, and she, we shook hands with her. I'm like, hey, thanks, great, loved your movies. And she was very engaging and lovely. And she loved my food. It was just, I'm like, I looked at him, I'm like, what part of did we not talk about this?
Yeah,
It was just the most obtuse thing.
Yeah.
Because I've been around other people, and it's fine, It was cute. It makes me laugh.
That's how some people are, man.
Yeah.
You know, and if Steven Tyler walked in the room, I'd be like, "Oh shit, Steven Tyler. All right, that's cool."
Yeah, no,
Welcome, welcome to the show.
Welcome to my world. Like, why are you here?
Yeah, but it's just
funny how that, and it goes back to, like I said, the value of celebrity is in what you see.
100%.
Because I could bump into like the band members of OAR. I don't know who they are. I don't know what they look like.
Sure. I don't know most celebrities. I'm not in touch with that at all.
No, But yeah, when you're a teenager or if your friends are into it, you gotta kind of keep up on that.
Yep.
But our celebrities are probably a little bit different. We're talking about Elon Musk and Bezos and these
sure.
are business figures.
If Elon walked past me in the city, I don't even think I would recognize.
Yeah, no, probably not.
I'm just not one of those people that puts people on a pedestal for who they are.
Yeah, another story that was really funny when I was first networking, and it was over like in Garden City.
Sure.
Let me know how we're doing on time. So it was some, high-end event, charity. I was donating away a chef dinner, so I'm there in the chef coat.
Sure.
But the guy Dee Snider from Twisted Sister
Yep.
was there. So this was mostly like accountants and lawyers and attorneys and stuff like that. And it was funny because they were doing the pictures. So there's Dee Snider, with his crazy blonde hair,
sure.
wearing like velour pants and
I think he lives on Long Island.
He does. He lives on Long Island. He used to come through the drive-thru at Center Reach,
Sure.
McDonald's, when I was there. Back when that Durango was the car everyone had to have.
Yep.
Big sapphire blue Durango. And so there he is in like boots and the sapphire, and all these men, like chubby, accountant types, wanting a picture with Dee Snider. I'm like, really? Guys have pretty good net worths, but you're fawning over him like a teenage girl.
Sure.
I mean, it was just like, and just you catch these little things when you're out there in the business world, and you realize they're all just people.
That's it.
And once you let that mystique go,
sure,
and you realize you have something to say or you have something to do, your contribution can be just as valid and needed to be heard as anybody's.
Absolutely.
And that's what I love about it.
That's exactly.
You just have to know that you're not the most important thing in the world.
Yeah, 100%.
You have to be the most important thing in your world.
Yep.
But you have to realize when you go out there and you're bumping around with the other comets and the other stars, just don't be a jerk. Go out there and give.
Yeah.
Go out there and give.
That's the biggest thing I preach all day long is don't be an asshole.
Yeah, please.
People are like, I don't understand how you're growing your business. I don't understand how you're doing that. I don't understand how you have a podcast. I'm like, because I just wasn't a dick all the time. It's literally that simple.
Yeah.
You never know who's listening. You never know who knows who. You never know this.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of times that I have been a dick. And there's plenty of times that you need to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
sometimes you got to be a hard, got to be a hard nose about things.
Yeah, but like for the most part, it's like it's really not that hard. Like if you just treat people with respect and
But you also have to send out that you expect respect, and you have to earn it.
Yeah, of course.
You have to earn it. I wrote my son a letter when he graduated from NYU because work covered his master's program. I was so proud of him. And I wrote a letter. I said, wealth, achievement, money, possessions, all are fine. These are all things that are worth your time and energy to achieve. But the most important thing that you can ever learn how to exchange, either give or receive, is respect. You have to know when it's appropriate to give respect. Mm-hmm. You have to also know when it's appropriate to withhold your respect, when somebody has not earned it.
Yep.
Because that is also a subtle form of communication that helps keep society, inside the guardrails,
sure,
so to speak. If you I said, anything can be taken away from you at any moment for any reason that you can't even see coming.
Sure.
Like right now, just, I told you I started just dating this young lady, and she'd had her eye on me for quite some time that I wasn't aware about. Finally, I asked her out, and boom, and we are clicking, and, she's good because she thinks like me and she likes quotes. And we're texting one night, and she's like, you don't find love finds you. And it's like, I had done the dating websites. I said, don't be
sure,
I'm okay with being single.
Yeah, the
more you look for something,
the less you're going to find it.
Right, yeah, it's just so weird.
Yeah, that's exactly how it goes.
So, like, if you look for success, you're going to be chasing it for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
So it's once you get to a place where you're doing something that you're engaged in, just celebrate that.
Yeah.
And then just keep doing what you're doing.
Sure.
And don't be afraid to say yes to things that might be just a little bit harder than you're used to taking on, or might be a little bit outside your comfort zone, because that's when
comfort zones kill.
Comfort zones kill.
I tell people that all the time.
Yeah,
I go,
yeah.
look, innovate or die, right? One of the big topics right now in this town is I don't know. I know which direction you came from. So you passed the.
I headed west. I came from Shirley.
Yeah. So you passed the Carvel, and then the next car lot on your left. There's an auto body shop and stuff like that. So that's somebody in town owns it. This guy Hagen and. Quick Check wanted to buy the property, or wants to put a gas station there, and this town does not need any more gas stations.
Really? No,
by no stretch of the imagination, but
right.
it was voted against, and then he went to the executives and said, no, I want this here, whatever. There's nothing that says I couldn't have this here, right? And people in town are like, that's ridiculous. He shouldn't be allowed to do that. I go, who are you to tell somebody else how to run their business?
Mm-hmm.
Just because you don't want it, because you live here in this town,
right.
doesn't mean you get to dictate it. I had this conversation with a kid. What?
Yeah, but don't the people that live here get some say in
they
businesses
do
that come in?
But it's not their property.
I understand, but again, what makes, like you said, I thought you were going to go in the direction of, the guy needs to be a little more considerate as to what
I'm not saying he shouldn't be,
Okay, so that's the other side of looking at. No, I get it. You don't want somebody telling you what to do, but by the same token, you also have to make a decision that considers other people.
Yes,
that's the shaving of the wood,
exactly,
to make things work.
I agree.
But you got to be willing to say, okay, well, I did want this gas station. Maybe he's got a really generous offer. Maybe it's something that just he needs to.
I'm sure it's a phenomenal offer.
But by the same token, that's so. Tying this back into the culture and the politics, that's the point. People have to learn how to give. It's like you can want, and they can want.
Sure.
But what's the the middle ground just dumbs it so down. So the middle ground isn't the right phrase.
Sure.
It's consideration.
Sure.
Consideration of the whole.
But it's funny, this individual.
Because how many dollar stores? How many nail salons? How many Dunkin'? How many 7-Elevens do we need? How many Dunkin' Donuts?
Yep. There's a million of them.
But I'm saying, do you know Dunkin' Donuts supervisors get a bonus for the number of stores they open each year? That's why Dunkin' Donuts keep popping up.
Oh yeah. Did
you knew
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wow. But it's
cool.
just it's fun. Yeah, I had a good buddy of mine that worked.
Okay.
In Dunkin' Donuts. That's why.
Free donuts for life, huh?
But it's people are like, I think it's ridiculous. I'm like, the dude wanted to put a cell phone tower up, and everybody shot it down. Everybody keeps shooting down what this guy wants to do. So,
okay.
Well, there's a whole
right,
big history behind it. Yeah, it's not just this.
All right. So again, now it's incumbent upon me to listen and get more detail.
But it's so funny, right? Because people are like, he shouldn't be allowed to do that. I go, it's his goddamn land. Whatever he wants to do on his goddamn land, he could do on his goddamn land.
Right.
It's zoned for commercial. There's nothing that says legally that he can't do it.
Right.
Just because you don't want it there. People are like, well, I think it's bullshit. I think it's bullshit that you didn't buy the property and do something different with it. If you didn't want it there, go buy the property. Oh, I don't have the money. So shut the fuck up. I don't tell you what to do with your house.
No.
Don't tell him what to do with his property.
And again, that comes back to the whole idea behind, a man's home is his castle. That was the whole thing that, back when it meant something more, like now with, timeshares and the rental situation the way it is, it's just easy come, easy go. People are less connected, but literally the whole idea behind owning your house is you could own a man's home as his castle. The police can't come into my house without a reason.
Yep.
That's my private property.
Yep.
So once that erodes, then that concept of independence is shifted culturally.
Yep.
And then it's a slippery slope to how do you protect yourself and keep your independence.
Mm-hmm.
If everything is just a piece of Lego on the floor that you can, put into use or toss back in the bin willy-nilly.
Sure.
That's goes back to the whole technology thing. It's changing so fast. You still, it's like surfing on a surfboard. You got to find, you have like a second to find the right footing.
Oh yeah, when you're done.
I'm not that I've ever surfed, but I'm saying, obviously, your body has to know what to do automatically.
Sure.
So now we're surfing with something, we're surfing in hot lava. We're just trying to figure out how to stay alive. So it goes from there. How are we doing on time?
Oh, we're good.
Okay, cool.
We're a little over, but I'm not.
Didn't realize we could talk this much.
Oh my God, it goes so fast,
Awesome.
so fast. But no, that's just my one. It's funny when I had this. It's like people want to complain, but they don't want to do anything about it.
Yes,
all
well,
the
that is one of the lesser sides of human nature, and once and it's the people, like you said, the neighbors that were complaining.
Yep.
They're in that mode. That's their sense of power.
Sure.
So once you realize, you take more power on when you take more responsibility on. One of the other phrases that I like is, the weapon of the weak is abuse.
Oh yeah.
Abuse is the weapon of the weak, and that's magnified obviously on Twitter and Facebook with these people. And yeah, they can say whatever they want, but they have to understand, you are what you do, and if that's all you are, you ain't got no game.
Yeah.
You can sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Say all you want, call me this, that, or the other thing, but after a while, calm down. It's like your attitude towards these neighbors, like if you didn't step up and buy the property, if you don't step up, it's one thing to complain about the problem. It's another thing to go, here's what I'm going to do to fix it.
Yep.
So as a society, and I think it's getting there because it's gotten to the point, the Twitter trolls are still out there, and they're vicious.
Sure.
These are not people I want to know.
No.
These are not people.
Yeah.
I don't wish them.
Well, it's also the people. And
I understand
keyboard
you want
warriors and thumb warriors.
but that's
they talk a big game,
it's
but they
cheap,
work at
right. It's a cheap shot.
Yeah,
it's a cheap shot,
you are a janitor at a hole-in-the-wall company, and you make no money, and you think that you're the high and mighty.
Right.
So
it's a mindset, but I'm just saying. So I think, as with anything, and this whole boycotting stuff that you don't like, it's bullshit. Society has moved forward because people vote with their feet. If they don't like what you're selling or serving, they're not going to engage with you.
Yep. They won't
and
go
that's
there.
And that's their right.
That's what I tell people all the time. I go, because he owns a bagel store in town too. I go, and his bagels happen to be probably some of the best that I could get within a 5-minute, or 10-minute drive.
I hear you.
But it's funny. I'm like, well, if you don't like it, just don't go to Quick Check.
That's it.
When it comes in, and it'll go out of business, and something else will pop up there.
Right. You vote by your purchasing habits.
Yep. I go, if you don't like, and you don't want to support his bagel store, then don't support his bagel store. I go,
if you like his bagels and you can't argue with the quality of the bagels, then you buy it.
Yep. I go,
but that's apolitical. It doesn't matter whether you like the guy or don't like the guy.
Yeah.
If the business is doing what you need the business to do in town.
Sure.
So that's the whole thing. But like I said, I think more and more people, we've kind of gotten that out of our system to some degree.
Sure.
It's still out there, but more and more, people are reasonable. Like, look, let's just get to solutions.
Sure.
Because and unfortunately, the media feeds it because they feed the frenzy.
Sure.
They feed the controversy.
Of course. Look, if you don't like the guy upstairs, if you don't like Trump, then stop paying taxes. Start crippling the government. It's like,
I mean, if you ever want a real revolt, let me tell you. Here's what it is. Just imagine if everybody in America stopped paying their mortgage. What are they going to do? Put 350 million people in jail?
Oh, it'd be impossible.
No, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, the big banks control. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Like you said, you dig into the internet, stuff I don't want to know about. All I'm saying is when you look at the way things have gotten distorted from their original, and when power is concentrated into the hands of a few, power is the biggest opiate there is. Once you can control that much money. And no, are they good, bad, or indifferent? No, they're just not doing the right thing by the greater good.
Yep.
I'm not going to tirade on them. But let's just say, so do we know, we need to know, like, to run our financial life, we know where our money comes from. We put it in our checkbook. We send it out to electric. We pay the cable. We pay this. We pay that. We put a little money in savings. We go on road trips with the rest of it. We feed ourselves with it. And then the cycle begins again.
Sure.
So, but we don't know. So we pay our mortgage. Where does that mortgage go? Like, what does a house cost? My house in Shirley, $155,000 left on the note. It's now worth $200,000. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
What did the raw materials cost? $30,000.
Sure.
You know
Not
what I'm
much,
saying?
yeah.
So, and what have I spent over the past 20 years paying mortgage payments?
Probably a ton of money.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I probably generated $300,000.
Yeah.
Well, can you imagine if that $300,000 was in my pocket now?
Oh yeah.
If I paid my house off, but how did once we get a handle on, it's always the rule of thumb is always follow the money. So if you really want to systemically change the nation, everybody has got to be on board. But this is an all or nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the other thing too. Yeah, it's got to be all. It's got to be all or nothing.
I'm saying if you really want to put the brakes on everything, stop paying your mortgage. See what happens.
Sure.
What are they going to do? print more money, then that devalues. You know what I'm saying?
No, of course.
So I've been saying if we're going to, if we're going to put radical
that's
ideas
the fundamental
out on the
thing.
table,
You want to put a bit. Look, if you don't like the podcast, you don't have to download it.
Right.
That's just
Or
one
you
less
don't
download
listen-
I'm
right,
going to get.
Exactly.
And if the existing listener base that I have is enough that I think it's valuable to continue producing the show, I'll keep producing the show.
Right.
It's the exact same
Or
principle.
if there's nobody listens and you just like to do it, and it's a good way to get to know people.
That's exactly it.
So again, it's like I said,
support what you like and don't support what you don't like. You don't have to. Not everybody's going to like everything.
you don't have to pound the table every time.
That's it. You're never going to appeal to everyone.
Right.
I've learned that the hard way. But you do what you do. You engage with what you want to engage with. You support who you want to support. When people are like, I think Jeff Bezos has too much money.
I think he does too, but he earned it.
Yeah. First of all, he earned it.
He
And
worked
second
on
of
it.
all, it's so weird that I see an Amazon Prime package in your house. How convenient. You think he has too much money, but you're going to give the dude more money.
Give the dude more money, exactly. It was really funny.
That I find
the funniest.
the absolute funniest thing in the world.
I rail against it. I mean, I'm concerned. I mean, I give him credit. He's put together the system. Everybody loves it. To me, it's just a slippery slope when there's only one. Like the one chef I used to work with, Mike, he's like, I always keep 3 fish people on the line. I always keep 3 meat people on the line. I always keep 3 produce people. And I shop them. And he always got the best price. He prided himself. He worked at an East Hampton restaurant, and he taught me that. And so my takeaway is this: it's like I shop mostly at Costco for the meats because they're good.
Sure.
And my business supplies on that. But I have other places I need to go.
Sure.
A little more inconvenient.
Sure.
My biggest concern with Bezos is if, God forbid, when he, if he's principled and he's doing the right thing, what's the turning point to say that next week, he's going to decide, okay, I've got this many people. Now every order is 10% more. Let's see if they pay that.
Oh yeah, he
Do you
could,
understand
and
what
he
I'm saying?
owns.
But
he
I'm
has
saying,
the right to do that.
But then you take, like you said, your girlfriend. 2 days without food is like the hardest thing she's ever done.
Sure.
Now you have 20-25% of the population dependent on getting their stuff from Amazon. They don't know anything else. They haven't developed another skill.
Whose fault is that?
Theirs.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's 100% on him. But if all of a sudden Bezos starts even if he starts raising it up by 1 or 2% a year, for whatever reason, it's not about the money anymore. It's now no longer about the money. It's about the fact that he can do it.
Yeah.
And that's human nature. Human nature is always, what can I get away with next?
Sure.
That's why there are hackers. That's why there are tax cheats. Hey, I cheated. Hey, I put another 10 miles on my mileage this year. Oh, let me put 100.
Sure. See what happens. Yeah.
Let me submit this very questionable receipt. As a small business owner, I try to be legit about what I do.
Yeah.
I don't put in every dinner thing out and call it, menu research.
Yeah.
If I take my son out to dinner, that receipt goes in the garbage. If I'm taking a client out, that goes in the business receipts.
Sure.
But again, that's incumbent upon me to be principled.
to do the right thing.
So that's my only concern. I mean, is Amazon a good thing? It's effective.
Yeah.
It's effective and it wins.
Sure.
My concern is it's training people to not source more than one place.
Look, it doesn't have to be Amazon.
amazing.
It could be animal cruelty, right? Hey, I don't like when not medical, makeup products and stuff like that is tested on animals. Well,
hence the phrase "lipstick on a pig."
Oh yeah, literally.
Literally.
It's this is ridiculous. Meanwhile, you have an Estee Lauder lipstick sitting right there. I think it's common knowledge that Estee Lauder uses animals to test their products on.
But
they
do.
But you're the first person supporting them.
But the whole point is that wall of marketing
Yep.
that turns it into that mystique of celebrity, and meanwhile behind, the man behind the curtain,
Sure.
it's ugly. Like nobody wants to know where sausage came from.
Oh yeah.
Nobody wants to know. It's like chicken nuggets. Everyone's like, oh, chicken nugget. McDonald's has figured out it's 0 to 28 days from hatchling to chicken that they can turn.
Yeah.
And I'm guarantee you,
Costco chicken's the exact same way.
Outside of feathers and feet, you're getting everything.
Yep.
And people don't want to know. And then, you put 4 nuggets in front of a 3-year-old, and then they decide they're not going to eat. And then where does those nuggets go? In the garbage. I saw that time and time again. It's like, where do you think this stuff comes from?
Yep.
And then people come to me and like, oh, I want organic. I'm like, okay, get some chickens, get back in the backyard and make a garden.
Yep.
That will be your organic.
Yep.
Other than that, don't believe the marketing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, unless you are living upstate or,
Sure.
100 miles from a cell phone tower, you're not going to get pure organic.
No, it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible.
Yeah.
It's crazy what people expect. It's crazy, people are willing to pay for a lot of things.
But again, it's the marketing, it's the mindset.
Yep.
It's like I tell people, it's like the amount of chicken nuggets. I said, there's your McDonald's restaurant. Then there's the 10 McDonald's restaurant in a 10 mile. Then look at all the McDonald's restaurants in Suffolk County.
Yeah, you think they could possibly grow organic chickens to get all those?
But I'm just
nuggets?
saying, they just people don't even want to think about where their food comes from.
No.
Like if you want to really dig into in the fast food, just as bad.
I think
it's
hysterical when people eat meat and they hate hunters.
Right. And
it's like you're killing an ethical animal who's lived a fantastic life their entire life, and you took it in the most humane way possible.
Right.
But you're going to give the guy a hard time, but you'll just go get a steak from the supermarket where this cow is literally has.
And that burger was the best.
Oh yeah, the cow has its brain smashed in with a piece of steel.
Yeah, like what's his name? What was that movie? No Country for Old Men.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Best. No Country for Old Men. What's his name? Javier Bardem plays a psychopath, but his preferred method of killing is he carries around the CO2 tank and the thing, and it's just like a little thing, and like people walk, he puts that up, like, it's like it's how you kill the cow.
Oh God!
And it's just it's like, it's like, it's like the gauge for your tire, only superpower. It's like,
oh my God!
It's the creepiest movie ever.
Oh,
and the
I'm
best
not
scene.
A fan of creepy movies.
No, it's kind of not the easiest movie together, but the best scene is there's like some guy in the middle of nowhere, and he's got like a little gas station shop, and Javier Bardem is talking to him, and the poor old guy has no idea what's going on. He's like flipping the coin, and it comes up heads, and the Bardem character decides not to kill him, and the man goes to pick up the coin and put it in. He's like, no, don't. That coin is very important. Don't put it. No, it'll become loose, and then you won't know which one it is. But you have to know what that quarter is. And the man's like, why? He doesn't realize that he just, avoided, a serial killer from killing him right there.
Yeah.
In broad daylight. It was just, that's like the most well-written scene in some time.
Damn.
Yeah, No Country for Old Men.
What other movies is he in?
He also played the love interest in Eat, Pray, Love with Julia Roberts. Kind of a favorite chick flick, but I
feel like he's been in a lot of movies.
He has. He also played in the James Bond movie.
Yes.
The one before.
Solstice or whatever?
Solstice.
Yeah.
Solstice. Very good in Solstice. He was actually a really good. No. I'm sorry. He was in Skyfall. It was Skyfall.
Oh, yes.
Skyfall. That was a good one. Skyfall was good. And I'm sorry, but Daniel Craig is the best quintessential James Bond.
I disagree 1,000%.
Okay. Well, at least we found something we disagree on. Who is your
almost 2 hours in?
Who's your favorite James Bond?
Oh shit, I don't know, man.
You have to know with an answer like that.
It's definitely not Daniel Craig. I really liked Brosnan.
He was too pretty boy. He was good.
He was good.
He got the attitude right.
Yes. I gotta say, I'm an OG. I loved Sean Connery.
Sean Connery was good, but if you watch those movies now, they did not age well. It's pretty much a guy going to a business meeting, fucking girls, and saving the world.
I didn't get the chance to watch all the. This is out of all my life, this is probably one of my biggest regrets right now. Is I didn't get a chance to watch every single James Bond movie on Netflix when they were available. And I don't want to buy the set for like $150.
No, you don't.
Especially because I don't even own a DVD player at this point.
Well, it's a DVD player.
So, that was one of my biggest
Anybody
regrets.
out there still using a Walkman?
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if people do.
Interesting.
Let's see, James Bond actors. There was one other one who
George
I really liked.
Lazenby. He was only one on Her Majesty's
He was
Secret
okay.
Service.
I wasn't a huge fan.
But that was when James Bond got married. But nobody believed James Bond would get married.
Yeah. Pierce was probably my absolute favorite.
Probably what you grew up with.
Yeah. And I think Sean Connery and Pierce were
Sean
probably
Connery
the best ones.
was very urbane, but believable in everything he did. Like you could see him in the suit, you could see him with the women. Do you remember when there for a while on Facebook the Terry onesies for men? Well, it was kind of a thing, and like it was being made fun of. It was like basically just like a jumpsuit for men in terry cloth.
Sure.
So in Thunderball, in the beginning of the movie, when he's
I like Thunderball.
Yeah, I'm sorry, in Goldfinger, not Thunderball, Goldfinger.
Yep.
So James, when you first meet the character, he's wearing one of those fucking onesies.
Oh my God. I thought Roger Moore was a decent one.
Roger Moore was okay.
I feel like James...
Little stiff.
I mean, George Lazenby could have been
was all right. He was believable.
He was believable, which was
because he wasn't a pretty boy face.
Yes, and in my opinion, he probably could have killed it had he done more than one movie.
Right.
If he got into it for a handful.
Yeah, he might have defined it. But I find the earthiness and almost what's sadistic side of Daniel Craig. He's really believable to me in those kind of improbable situations, especially that one
He's the
scene.
first one that cried.
Yeah, and that incredible torture scene in Casino Royale when he cuts out the bottom of the chair and gets him with the bullwhip.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I do remember that when he had the butterfly knife.
Yeah. But I'm just saying. And then I could not buy Nilsson, I guess. Forget it. I think Nils. I couldn't buy him as the villain in Doctor Strange after seeing him as Lashif. Like, that guy is always Lashif to me. So when they made him the villain in the first Doctor Strange, I'm like, no, I'm not buying that.
That's so funny. That was a weird movie.
Which one?
Doctor Strange.
That they did it well. They did it well. The transition.
For the time.
Yeah.
The time period. That's the coolest thing. Is like what I absolutely love about the James Bond movies is it almost rolls into what the time period was.
Right.
The dress attire, what people wore.
It was a good cultural mirror.
Yes. That is one of the biggest takeaways for me on the show.
On Doctor Strange.
On all of them. On all of them. It's a fantastic play of what the time period was, what the dress was, what the music was, what the mannerisms even were.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't half of the male-female interactions, even in Goldfinger. I mean, today, the social justice warriors blow their brains out because it's just so sexist.
Oh yeah, it's so sexist.
Well, you know what? But was it sexist because the women didn't speak up, or was it sexist because that's how we judge it now? You understand what I'm saying? What's the frame of reference?
Normal back in the day. I used to
Exactly.
I used to know somebody very dear to me. That's how he was until he died.
Yeah.
That's how he treated women. Like, not so much sexist, but like, hey, go fix me a meal. Like, I pay the bills.
Yeah. It was
I do the manly duties. You do the womanly duties. And I'm sure that somebody's gonna get mad at that. But
but that's how it was.
Exactly. That's how it was.
You can't go back and rewrite history.
Yep.
You can say we are better than that, or we can do something different.
But people
and I'm fine
it.
with that.
People are okay with it.
Whether you don't like it, people live their whole lives, But that whole thing that we went through with figuring out families, and I come from a divorced home, so I understand a dysfunctional family. My mom and dad tried to keep it together.
Sure.
Did it fail? Yeah, but why did it fail? Again, it always comes back to personal responsibility. What did my mom do that she could have done better? What did my dad do that he could have done better?
Sure.
Because there's always two sides to every failure.
Yeah.
If there's two people involved. But to get upset over things the way they were, no, you just look back and go, wow, we have learned.
Or we've come a long way.
We can do this.
Yeah, you look back in Neanderthals, and we've come a hell of a long way from sticks and stones.
But the point is never to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And if the construct had value, you got to be able to say that too.
Sure.
And I don't care what they say, and I'm sorry if anybody out there can't process this, but only women can have babies, and there's men and there's women. There are men who want to be women, and there's women who want to be men. And that's fine. And this country is big enough to accept that and let you be yourself. But to scream up and down, you got to accept me. No, I don't. I have to accept you as a human being.
Yeah.
But they used to put.
Look, I don't care what you do as long as it doesn't affect me.
Whatever you do behind closed doors is your business. But when you go outside in public, just don't be a dick.
That's it. Don't
Whether
be an
you
asshole.
have a dick or not.
Very true.
All right.
We just crushed an hour and 56 minutes.
Sweet.
That went very quickly.
That was good. That was very interesting. We didn't talk one bit about food. A bit. No, we talked a little.
A little bit.
But we didn't, which is good because that's kind of what I was hoping, that it would be free-ranging like
this. That's it. That's all it is. It's totally free-range.
And how many people are listening?
I have no idea at this point.
Okay.
I don't even know.
And do me a favor, just later on, just text me over to my phone how to access, because
I will.
I told
As soon as it's up, I'll let
I
you know.
told Marisol that I was doing this, and she'll probably watch it or listen.
You got to tell people how they can find you if they want to reach out to you. I don't recommend phone number, but sometimes people do. So
you can find me at cheflance, LANS.com. That's my website.
there it is.
And you can also find me on Instagram, Chef Lance, LANCE, Long Island. If you want to see some of my work and some of the people who follow me, not all about food, but I am about taking good care of you. If you need somebody to cook for you, how would I say, effortless, elegant, and affordable, restaurant quality meals in your home, served by me. You're not going to get anybody else. It's going to be me, the guy who was on this podcast. Do all sorts of events, everything from dinner from 2 to big backyard bashes, 20, 25 or more.
Love it.
Anything is possible.
Love it. All right, good stuff, brother.
All right.
We'll wrap this thing up. Everybody, thanks for listening. I'll see you guys later.